Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, corn dog lovers of all ages, welcome to In the Box with your hosts, Matt and Adam.
Everybody get...
Hello, MASL family.
Hello.
Ooh, the background noise, background music. I like that.
Yeah.
You can just keep jamming.
Right,
They don't go through the whole show. That'll be annoying.
We have nothing to talk about anyway. So
there's really not a whole lot going on this week. But welcome. I gotta shorten this up in half. Welcome to In the Box on Thursday, the 24th of February, in the year 2022.
hope everyone had a wonderful 2/22/22.
2/22.
You know, it's funny. It's funny. I was actually, and I'm gonna blame you for this. I went on to. I have a horse racing app on my phone. So on Tuesday, I went on the horse racing app to see if there was a race at 2:22.
Did he come in second?
No, there was no race at 2:22. There's one at 2:24, but
Yeah, you can't do that.
no.
Yeah, you can't have a race at 2:24
Yeah,
on
so I
2:22.
couldn't bet anything.
So it's 22:20. So in Europe, it would have been 22/2/2022.
Yes,
They do the month first.
right.
So Eric says, if I'm going to lose my point, I'm going to do it in a big way. Snarky Blast Fan in the box is the best in the box.
Wait, what?
Snarky
Eric
Blast
wrote
Fan
that?
in the box is the best in the box.
Yeah,
Referring to the
no,
Snarky Blast Fan you kicked out of the box. Off the,
Oh,
out of the
well,
box.
he doesn't get a point then.
Right. Yeah, so welcome everybody. There were a couple things that happened the last week.
Why do we do the good one? Why don't we do the good one?
Did I have cake?
Well, I still have ding dongs, so I guess I also have cake. But no, we did a thing.
We did a thing. In the Box is a proud sponsor of the Sunflower State Football Club, M3 team and outdoor team in Kansas City. And we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, and just so Joey, I hope it's Lipoff. Lipoff? We've had him on the show along with Nick McDonald twice. Well, Matt, you weren't able to make it both times because I think you were boycotting them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had them on the show twice. Joey approached me last year sometime and said, well, maybe this year? Last year? I don't know. Asking if we wanted to be a sponsor and asking, I don't know what your budget is. And I kind of joked. I'm like, well, our budget is negative hundreds of dollars. Because between the money we spent on jerseys, and we'll get into this one in a second, and cameras
Corn
and
dogs,
microphones and cake and corn dogs and crap, I owe Aaron De La Rosa 2 corn dogs. Sorry, Aaron. March 5th, we'll try for that. All that comes out of our own money. We have made exactly $0.00 in our YouTube videos and our group. So I said it would be a great idea because they wanted to put the In the Box logo with the corn dog on their jersey, like on their actual playing jersey. And I said, I don't see that happening. I heard the amount. And so 2 things happened. One, an anonymous donor came in and basically tripled what we put in. So a lot of donors would match a donation. They actually tripled what we put in. And then they moved us down a tier in sponsorship levels so that we can make it work. So we are now a sponsor. We're going to have the logo on a practice jersey. We're going to have the logo on their social media, on their website. You guys saw the ad that I posted In the Box. And there will be merch with the Sunflower State and the in the box logos on it for everyone to purchase. I know at least 2 people are interested in getting those. Maybe more.
Yeah, and I think, no, I was on one of the shows. I do remember that. But I do believe you're the one that didn't get a chance to see Nick McDonald last week. So I think this is you making up.
So here's how that worked. So my wife Tara is in a boot because she broke her foot. You know that. Walking for her is not easy. So we were down in the field seeing players, and I'm like, hey, I want to go see Matt Perella quick before we go. And she's like, okay, I'm going to go out. Okay, fine. I go see Matt. I do that. And I said, okay. And I turn around, and she's nowhere to be found. So I go out of the arena into that little area with like the back bar and the TVs and stuff, and she's not there. I'm like, I wonder if she went to the bathroom. And I'm like, no, she was talking about that she was really warm because it was for some reason hot in there, even though the ice is down. So I went up the ramp. She's not in the foyer. I'm like, she must be waiting for me outside. And I go outside for whatever reason, because I know we can't get back in the arena. So I go outside. My phone dings. The door closes. It's Nick saying, hey, are you still in the arena? So I felt like maybe trying to go back in after someone closed the doors, but there's security there, and security's been kind of jerks this year to some people, so I figured, no. I said, yeah, I just missed you. Are you going across the street to Goolsby's? And they're like, no, we're just going to go back to the hotel, and then
Yeah.
The next game, Nick, we will meet each other. So Cliff says we're big time, and since Lucy and I were on the show, they want their cut. Okay. We'll cut you into the profits that we make. Ding dong, or you can have a piece of cake.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I have at this time.
Kelsey says it wasn't just hot in there, it was hot as balls. Well, that's because it's soccer. If it was hockey, it would be hot as ice.
And according to Joe Gatto on Impractical Jokers, hot as balls is an 80-degree ball.
Oh, okay. Genie does as you command. Or no, Genie does as you wish.
Yeah, as you wish, or something like that.
Yeah,
Genie does as you wish. Yeah.
So then Kevin Capel says, Matt, when are you guys playing your crunch players? The way your boys are playing, I would try anything.
Yeah. I don't know. After last night, anything is possible. Yeah, didn't see Blackwood. I think one of them was dressed. But yeah, we'll talk Blast Utica later, maybe if I'm awake.
And then Jack says, is the cake in the box logo or cake in the box making it onto a t-shirt or a shirt as well? Maybe. We have some things cooking. I don't know how long they'll cook for.
You should probably check on them then. I mean, unless you set a timer or something.
No, timers are great, but then there's nothing to take it out of the oven automatically. Then all you have is beeping and then burning cake.
Yeah, and you don't want that. That's just.
Yeah, so the Ambuns are having their mascot game, and I think this weekend, I think it'll be much more competitive for them. I think they have a chance of pulling out a win.
So is Bushwhacker and Bunswhacker showing up, or
I don't know. How many mascots are you fielding for the mascot game?
I would say 1 or 2 will be signed by the end of the night.
Oh wait, I was just informed that it's not the Ambuns playing the mascots; it's the mascots playing each other.
Oh.
I thought they were going to have like the Ambuns playing against the mascots, and that was the game.
Well, it'd be the mascots' first game of the season, and they've got 23 more before April, so they better get a move on.
If the mascots don't show up, do they get a point?
Yes.
So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Kelsey wants to know if she dresses like a corn dog, can she play? Kelsey, we have to work with Mr. Zimmerman and get you on the field dressed like a corn dog. I'm pretty sure we can make that happen.
I thought I had mentioned this. I would have been willing to dress up as a corn dog for the mascots game in St. Louis.
Oh. Yeah.
Maybe next year, St. Louis. Maybe next year.
So we had a weird Russian named comment in the YouTube comments, and Cliff said there was a Russian hacker here. They left a 6-letter thing. I don't know if it's supposed to be a website or a. I don't understand that. I don't know.
It's probably like Goblarst or something like that. It was in capital letters.
Yes.
Well, yeah, it's probably Goblarst or something.
Oh yeah, Goalkeeper in Russian.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's a Russian dessert.
Goblarst.
Hey, are we are we having issues with our stream here, or is it working okay? What do you let us know in the chat? Did it buffer or something, or did it stop, or I don't understand what just happened. It was spinning in YouTube. I don't know what that means.
We were spinning.
Oh, Jack says fine for him. Okay, I'll ignore that. I get a little preview window that I can see, and it was doing this thing.
Oh,
Maybe it was doing the Sunflower State logo.
maybe.
So that's our good news.
So that's the end of our show. So
yeah.
Thank you for watching, and
I'll see you later.
Now, back to them.
And we're back.
then we're back.
So you'll notice I have a jersey here. This is the New Mexico Runners jersey, and that is a Roadrunner. And the obvious name for the back of my jersey is that show up okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Excuse me. So here's the problem. When I first put the jersey in, it was misprinted. And I only got this. So I contacted the jersey manufacturer people, and they said, and I sounded like a complete moron when I tried to say, hey, I'm trying to make a play on on Looney Tunes Roadrunner, so I wanted to say Meep Meep, but the jersey I got only said Meep, so is there any way you can send me another jersey that says Meep Meep, and I can send you back the Meep? And they said, oh, we'll send you a new one that says Meep Meep, and just keep the Meep.
So many meeps.
So, what I have here is I have a adult medium jersey that says Meep on it that I will donate to whoever wants it. So somebody send me a Facebook message if they will fit into an adult medium jersey or have a thing on the back of their wall that they want to hang this up on. You want this jersey, Matt?
No, we'll give it away to one of our subscribers.
Yes, and you must be subscribed to the YouTube channel and prove that you are subscribed somehow.
And if you don't know how to do it, Adam, do you just want to show them real quick?
It's a giant red button. Just click it.
I don't know if it's that giant, but yeah, it's there. So
Jay says medium, eat more cake. Okay. Please hold. Eat a giant bite of cake. Lemon cake with cream cheese frosting.
Unpopular opinion. Cream cheese frosting, not that good.
How do we hang up somebody up? Hey, dude.
I'm just saying. I don't get a point for that, right?
We're giving points on it.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I don't have an easy way to do a scoreboard. I know there's scoreboard plugins for this thing. I just didn't have time. Otherwise, I'd be giving points out to everybody.
Right then.
So where do we start? I got more good news. Let's go with the good news first. And then we'll get into the Kelsey says that's an unpopular opinion, a terrible one at that.
All right, time to ban Kelsey, unfortunately. So.
You know what also was on 2/22/2022? The 2-year anniversary of starting the In the Box Facebook group.
That is true.
So congratulations us on our 2 years. Oh, we put out great content. It's great content. I think.
It's the best content that involves the MASL, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Wait,
I mean,
somebody
it's not unbiased or anything, but
he's trying to get a free jersey. Oh, jersey gone. Sorry, everybody. Jersey is sold. 1, 2, 3, auction sold.
wow. There you go.
And hi, Joey, by the way. Yeah, so Lucy says you can't ban Kelsey.
Well,
So-
I can.
Well, Matt has a ban hammer and he's not afraid to use it.
but I can't really use it right now. I would have to. Well, I'm not going to go into how I would do it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So CT says, where did your whole cake thing come from? Is it just your love for cake?
Well, I mean, we talked about, we go on random tangents every once in a while, and I think cake's been like our main topic.
I think the show. I think we don't go on random tangents. I think we go on topic every once in a while, and the rest of it is random tangents.
Oh, okay. Well, cake just kind of randomly comes up. We both love cake, and we used to talk about food a lot.
We had a show where we talked about Major League eating for like a half an hour. That was a good one.
That was a good one.
So we next halftime show that you're in Milwaukee. Kelsey just said, "I will tackle you like a spider monkey." So what I propose is you wear the keeper outfit, mascot costume, and Kelsey dresses like a corn dog, and we just set up like a cage match for halftime.
So, funny story, or not so funny. So, I'm down in the beer garden, which is right near the boards. For those of you that don't know, how the Adirondack Bank Center is set up.
Isn't that named by a bunch of chairs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's named by the chairs.
Okay.
And it's part of a bank, and it's in the center of something. Yeah. So, sitting at one of the tables, just having a beer, whatever, and right behind us, who scares the daylights out of me but Keeper?
Do you punch him in the face?
I wanted to. I wanted to. I wanted to get away from that. Michelle Brooks, one of the people from Keeper's Corner podcast, wanted a picture, and I'm like,
There's
mildly creepy.
There's a YouTube video
at like a close distance.
Yeah, so. There's a video out there somewhere. It's old, and it's a guy going through what looks to be like a Halloween themed thing, but all the lights are on, so I'm not so sure. And there's like a garbage can, and some like guy in a suit jumps out and scares this guy, and his first reaction is just to punch him square in the face. So hey,
well, I had to refrain myself. I wanted to watch the game. It was like first quarter or something like that. So.
Oh, you still had hope then at that point.
Yeah.
So Michael Vollmer's here. He says
he's from Cleveland. Did you know that?
Yeah, I saw that. He says song just for In the Box, and that reminds me, I am working on a new opening theme song. So right now, the opening song that you guys hear, in fact, if I do, what can I do? I can do this.
Yeah, I can't hear that. So
you can't hear that. Okay. So that was a song called "Get Up" by my band Underground Hive. I have a lot of ideas for a new intro song that I'm working on. I don't know how long it's going to take me. It could be months, it could be weeks, it could be years. It could be a long time. So
we'll unveil it at our 5th year anniversary show.
5th year anniversary, and Sunflower himself, Nick McDonald, is here. Hey Nick, he's in Nick. Sunny San Diego, and
it was sunny here.
And Sunflower State FC is here too. Did you guys? Hopefully, you guys saw our announcement of the sponsorship and everything. But if you guys didn't, we are sponsoring.
You.
The what did you say? We're sponsoring a cake for Sunflower State. So they're going to put the In the Box logo on everything, like all their vehicles and their cars, and everyone's getting like a tattoo of In the Box right on their forehead.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what I was told.
Yeah. So that's what's gonna happen. So that's a thing. So I want to give a shout out to Daniel Chamale. He was in Milwaukee at the game last game, injured, out for the season. Unfortunately, has a nasty looking boot on his foot and is working on rehab. He may or may not be a fan of the show, so appreciate you, Daniel. Hopefully you get back on the field soon. Hopefully we can get this visa thing figured out, and everything will be good to go. So I wanted to do that. I got like a little bits of good news here and there, and then we got to get into it. So where do we want to start?
Do we start chronologically?
I don't even remember the chronological order of everything that happened.
I don't know. We can talk suspension if you want.
All right. So Saturday night in Milwaukee and Sunday night in KC were two of the more physical games that you'll ever see in indoor soccer. The end of the game Sunday got ugly. Players were walking off the field. One of our favorites, Derek Huffman, spit on Neto. Neto fell down like he was shot by a sniper, and all hell broke loose. I know there are a lot of things that were said and a lot of things that happened after that. I don't want to. We'll just leave it at that. There was video that came out. The game video didn't show anything. The game video showed Huff moving his head like this, and that was it. But a video from another angle was very, very clear on it. So we knew what was going to happen. We knew there was going to be a problem. We knew there was going to be a suspension. Turns out to be 5 games and undisclosed fine, and a 16-hour anger management course for Huff.
Ooh, before that, great game by Nick McDonald that night.
No. I suppose. Nick's always been a favorite.
Listen, he's not mad at me, so I feel like I can.
There we go. So I have a lot to say on this. I don't know how much I want to say. I have a lot of thoughts on it. I could tell. So everybody knows Huff's reputation in the league. And unfortunately, they don't know Huff like we do in Milwaukee now. Like, I was, there were people that Huff would go after in KC. Huff and I had our battle online. He called me out. He was going to show up on my band and one of my band's gig and boo me, probably out back in the alley somewhere against the wall 100 times. And I consider him a friend, though. Ken Milwaukee, we got over our issues. He hit me over the head with a corn dog on camera, and I should have that picture ready. Unfortunately, what happens is certain people have their own kryptonite, and I think KC is Huff's kryptonite. I'm not going to make any excuse for what he did. He knows what he did. He owns up to his own actions, but it's not going to make me change my opinion of him as a person or a player. So we're going to leave that out. I think he got an appropriate suspension. I think what happened is they looked at the calendar, and either one of two things happened. They were like, let's just give him a month, and that happened to be 5 games. Or they said, there's no way he's going back to Kansas City in the regular season. Give him a 5-game suspension. He'll try to appeal it. We'll make it 4, and then he'll be back after the KC game. That was my thought. But anyway, it's 5-game suspension, a fine, and a anger management course. There were a lot of comparisons made. I think this is the biggest actual number of game suspension in the history of the MASL, like named number of games. I think Andre Braithwaite got essentially a season off where he was not allowed back. And if anyone remembers that game, it was Brian Budzinski doing color commentary with Nick Vasos, and he talked a lot about the things that Andre had to go through, and they were really impressed with the things he went through, and some anger management stuff, some community service, some letters of apology, things like that, and they let him back in. I was like, you know what? That's pretty cool. Because in my life,
I understand. We all make mistakes. You know, it's I made a mistake earlier this season. I own up to it. Move on. Andre Braithwaite also made a mistake.
Yep.
Owned up to it. Did whatever he had to do. Came back to the league, and I respect him. I mean, he played for Utica, played for Florida. I have 2 of his jerseys up over here. And the same with Derek. You know, I wasn't in the same boat as Adam. He never really called me out. I think he kind of agreed with a few things I said. So I wasn't on his list, but
yeah. He called me Adam Donatello, so there's that.
Yeah. But I mean, we've had him on the show a few times, and getting to know him over the last couple of years. I like him as well. And I agree with Adam. I mean, the action was unwarranted. I mean, shouldn't have happened. No excuses. Suspension, I think is fair. I know that's one of like the worst, the most degrading things.
Yeah. I would have rather had him go punch Neto in the face.
Yes.
I would have, that would have been better for me. But again, I told him right after the game, I'm like, I'm not going to judge. I'm going to support you no matter what. I'm not going to support the action you did. I'm going to support you as a person and a player.
And I think the anger management class, you know, it shows that the league wants to help. You know, they see him as a good player,
yeah.
And they want him to stay in the league. So,
and I know, I mean,
I think all in all, fair suspension, and everyone moves on.
I think so. It's tough for me because over the last 2 years, we've gotten to be friends with a number of KC players. Brian Budzinski treated us like royalty when we went to KC in December 2020 for the All-Star game. Big fan of the organization. I love Nick and Eric. I just think Cliff said he's teaching the anger management course.
Nice.
But yeah, both Aaron and Amanda said that he's been really good to their kids after, you know, autographs and everything. He's started out a little awkward with kids, but he's getting better, and I think it's more natural for him. I don't think he's been accepted like this in a city before. It's rough because this happened between these two teams. I want to kind of try to explain my thoughts about professional athletes. There are a lot of us who have played sports in any part of our lives. You know, like the adrenaline and the rush you get of playing and the extra burst of energy and things like that. Well, if you're playing at a professional level, that all of that is just heightened. And you're playing like right on the verge of your like fight or flight instinct to try to, you know, get as much of an edge as possible, much of a competitive edge as possible. And because of that, the human body, like, I'm either going to run away from this confrontation or I'm going to dive right into it head first.
Yep.
And if you have that much emotion, again, I'm not making excuses. I'm just kind of like explaining what's going on. Now, if you watch starting from the beginning of Saturday's game, I think Casey had a plan to get under Huff's skin. You know, like, we can get this guy mad. We can maybe get some cards. We can get some at least some restarts and some penalty, you know, maybe a penalty or two, some fouls. And they worked. I mean, congratulations. It worked for them. I think teams are starting to do that too. And Nick and Eric talked a little bit about penalties or fouls for target forwards. Like Andre Hayne in foul trouble right towards the end of the first quarter. Frank Tayu is always in foul trouble in almost every game. He leads the league in fouls right now. I think it's that position that you're trying to hold off everyone off the ball, and they're just slapping your arms away and picking on you and pulling your jersey and just maybe other things. Yeah. If your name is Bo and you're in Baltimore in front of a guy named Dos Santos. But I think they got him. I think he would accept that, and I think next time it's going to be game on. And
well, yeah, I think you might see something from the league sent to both Milwaukee and Kansas City, like, hey, next time,
yeah,
we're going to be watching you guys like a fine-tooth comb. So cut the crap.
Right. Now, the thing is, do I think the anger management course is a good idea? Sure. Because like you said, it shows that the league wants to help. Do I think it's going to change him as a person? No. Do I want it to change him as a person? No. Do I want him to just go one little dial under 100 to 99? Yeah, why don't we do that?
Yeah.
And leave it at that. So, that's that. We'll do that in a second. The other one, CT wants to know what Bo did in Baltimore. So Bo didn't do anything. Bo received a free prostate exam by Adriano Dos Santos in the middle of play. And we'll leave it at that.
Dos Santos got a 2-game suspension, dropped down to 1. So
right. And Gio's being bitter Blast fan. He said, so we're supposed to move on to this, but not something that happened years ago. Understood. We can move on to this and we can make fun of something that happened 2 years ago. Yes, absolutely. I have no problem. Also, the Dos Santos thing is 1 strike against video replay for the league, because I don't think we want to see that.
No one wants to see that again.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's reasonable. I think it's fair. I think the people calling for him to be kicked out of the league forever is kind of ridiculous and kind of over the top.
Right. I agree.
So we'll see what happens. The next big thing that happened on Saturday, Andre Hayne fouled out with 6 fouls in the game. You could kind of see it coming because Steve, hold on to that thought. Because at the end of the first quarter, he already had 3 fouls. So he had to sit out the entire second quarter. It's a bad thing. Again, target forward, a lot of fouls. I think it's happening everywhere. But what happened was he was walking out. The bench, the tunnel from the bench is like right behind the end of the bench. You saw it. As he was going out, some kid was like, Andre or whatever, and I think he was going to give him a high five, but they put plexiglass up so that you can't, because the fans used to like hang over that wall and give them the players high fives. They put plexiglass up to kind of block some of that. And it's like bolted into the concrete, so it's both for soccer and hockey that's played there, and probably the basketball too. It looked like he was going to give the kid a high five, but he jumped up on a little side table and hurled himself over the wall and sat down in the seat. And of course, the camera went on him and Van played it up, and I thought it was great. I thought it was one of the coolest things. It was the most energetic moment in that game for the fans. And then they gave him they brought down a soda and a popcorn to him, and he handed it off to the kid and gave it to the kid. And later on, they brought him 2 beers and he chugged them in the thing. And I thought it was cool. I think, I knew there was going to be a fine, but I also had a feeling that Wave Management would pay it. If not, we could have a corn dog sale or something.
Absolutely. That reminded me of, so I don't know if you watch baseball at all, but there was this was years ago. So sorry, I'm bringing up stuff from years ago, but it's relevant to the topic. The New York Mets manager Bobby Valentine got ejected from a game. So I mean, the procedure is go down the tunnel, go away from the stadium, whatever. But he came back with like the weirdest like disguise. Like glasses, like a mustache. Like you can tell it was Bobby Valentine.
That's
and
awesome.
Like the camera like shows him, and he's just like in the tunnel, just like looking. He's kind of like. You have to look it up because it's just.
I will.
It's hilarious. I don't know. I think he got suspended for that.
I would imagine.
But
I have to go back a couple comments. Gio, I have something for you. Okay. Kelsey said Gio deserves 2 points for that comment, and he says he deserves 5, so we're going to give him 5 points. Just because we're giving out points. Everyone gets points. You do not have to be present to earn your points.
Why does he get 5 points?
Because he said he wanted them. He deserves them.
All right. Well,
actually, he says
Gio now has more points than the Harrisburg Heat. I think. I don't know.
No, I think they have more. But
Yeah, they're a few points behind. He's a few points behind Utica, but I'm sure he'll catch up to him.
He said 5 exclamation mark, which is 5 factorial, which is 125.
So he's already made the playoffs.
You're already in the playoffs. You already won. I think you just won the league, Gio. Congratulations.
Well, the regular season. We haven't really seen a regular season champion win a Ron Newman Cup yet. So
I think you can just ask for, like, make yourselves the conference championships, and then you just get it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Other comments, Lucy said, I feel he will still have the competitive fire in him, which I feel he did control very well on Saturday night, which is just pushed past the limits on Sunday. Obviously, talking about Huff. Totally agree. I'm way behind on comments here. Alex said, I'd like to see the league do something like baseball and issue warnings to teams before the next game. Anything that comes close to aggressive behavior is an automatic yellow or even red.
Yeah, and it's a probably, I don't know if that was done for Sunday's game. If the refs were like, listen, we saw what happened yesterday. Kind of take it easy, or we'll just start handing out cards.
And then Gio said Matt is being a bitter Utica fan. All right, so here's the thing I think about Hayne. I've heard a lot of people say that what Hayne did was totally unprofessional, was uncalled for. Why didn't a bunch of KC fans were all pissed off? Why didn't Hayne get a suspension? Blah blah blah. And it's like, and I think I wrote to one of them, I'm like, show me on the Hayne doll where he hurt you.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't affect the flow of play at all.
Right. In fact,
he didn't go back on the field and chug the beers and kick it in and.
Yeah. So Gio says it's not as funny now that I read it late because he was timing it with a comment that was in there. So go back in time and then read the comment and listen to it, and then it was funny at the back then. Or something. But yeah.
Okay, cool.
I've talked to a couple of people, I will not name any names, saying people need to realize this is not the NFL, this is not Major League Baseball. This is a minor league sport. It's the major arena soccer league. It is the top level of professional sports, but it's gimmicky. There are fun things. There's the dizzy bat and the keg rolls in the middle of games. There's mascot games. And we love all this stuff. I mean, after Saturday night's game, even after Sunday night's game, I was like, you know what? The league and the teams, maybe not the league, but the teams could use this as almost a marketing thing. Do like the little Utica commercials where they're going after each other, Wave versus Com. I mean, there's all sorts of opportunities here that maybe the commissioner won't see as professional, but we as fans, we love this shit. I mean, this is watching Hayne jump over there, especially knowing who gave him the beer, and I won't say that on the air either. It was amazing watching that. That was one of the highlights of the game for me, other than beating Kansas City 8-4. It was one of the highlights of the game for me. And I think a lot of fans are going to remember that. They're not going to remember, oh, you know what? The goalie didn't touch the ball 16 times more than he did last year, so I liked the game more. They're going to remember when Andre Hayne got kicked out and drank 2 beers in the crowd while on the Jumbotron. That was awesome. That's what fans are going to remember. That's what's going to bring a fan back to the game. And I'm not saying we need to do that every game, because I don't want to see players getting weird fines and everything. And I think it's probably appropriate that the player gets a small fine, because you can't just get it to, completely mayhem out there. But to go off and say it's completely unprofessional and this and that and the other thing, blah, 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 no.
Yep, I agree.
I have one more comment about that. Oh, the Sunday thing. So, call it what you will. Andreas leaned his head into Gordy Gerson. Gordy Gerson went down to the ground. Was it a headbutt? By all definition of a headbutt, yes. Was it as bad as Gordy made it out to seem? Probably not. When they came back from halftime, there was a blue card given to Gordy for like instigating or whatever, and then there was a blue card and a yellow card given Andreas. Now, the rule in the league is that every yellow card gets a fine. And they put all the fines on the page. Guess who the only player is that didn't get a fine for his yellow card last weekend? Andreas. So what the league is making this out to be is that it's basically they're saying this was 100% on Huffman, 100% his fault, and there was nothing leading up to it that would have meant he did anything. Like, why was Neto out doing this and fist pumping and banging the walls when the Wave players are trying to leave? Now, granted, again, I'm going to say this for the 100th time, that was not an excuse for what happened, but it could have been avoided if he just wasn't there. And the fucking guy didn't even play, but he had his gloves on the entire game, banging on the walls and just being a nuisance. So that's that. That's my thoughts on that. I know you had a thought on, you posted a couple times that you thought instigators needed something.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned it with the whole Gordy Gerson and Andreas thing. Gordy Gerson got a blue card for instigating. Now, there wasn't anything post game that mentioned any sort of instigating, and
it was the official card was, where am I here? Oh, that was the wrong game. What game was that? Where am I?
I don't know, but you see it. I mean, you see it in hockey. You see it.
This is Saturday.
Where two guys get in a fight, and one guy's just like, "All right, let's go," and the other guy's like, "Yeah, I really don't want to." Guy drops his gloves first.
Yeah,
he's basically the instigator. He gets something.
It was just unsportsmanlike conduct. Was what was written. Written.
Oh, okay. So I think that should set a rule, or the league should send something out, basically saying, "Okay, stop instigating."
Yeah,
like ribbing, I get. Like we all rib, and I mean, even in the box we rib. Out on the field they rib, but afterwards you shake hands, you say good game, you move on. And I think lately we've seen a lot of like extracurricular activities, and we're the sport is geared towards families.
Yep.
So I don't think, I mean, a 6-year-old kid should witness anything like that.
Yep. So I missed a bunch of comments here. Alex said, whoa, if you want to be the conference champs, you can't just claim it, you got to put it on a t-shirt.
I want our 8 points back, or 9 points back, Alec.
Kelsey gets a big point for Gio. If you're still on the show, you'd be able to say your opinions in real time. Kevin says, Kevin's still talking about the crunch. Jay said Hayne would be a highlight that played time and time again on ESPN if ESPN covered the league. Yep. Adam Grosskart said Neto's moving pretty well for being hurt. Now, I was told Neto was fine and he was ready to play, and why did we think that? And I said, well, because the broadcasters said he is not ready to play. The only reason he is suited up is because of the new rule that two goalkeepers must be suited up for the game. So, as people watching it, that's what we're assuming. All
right.
And then Gio said, in the same boat, we don't know what was the cause of Neto doing that. True. Very true.
And that's exactly. It's not going to be like public knowledge, like a breakdown of what happened, because it wasn't on camera. So we're not going to sit here and say what caused everything.
I've heard 10 different stories about what happened. I mean, and if we want to do that,
they were probably, let's just say they were probably discussing cake.
They probably were. They were like, what cake do you like?
Like, I like chocolate, and I like vanilla. And
they're like, that's it. And you might as well just start fighting at that point. Yeah,
so that's what happened.
I don't like cream cheese frosting. Like, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, this is an in the box exclusive. They were talking about cake flavors.
Right. I mean, there was a certain player coach who flipped off a couple fans and said, fuck you to them after the Saturday night game. So we don't need to go into that either.
All right.
So next topic. Let's put all that behind us. Are we done with that topic?
Yes, I'm done with it.
All right. All I will say is that in addition to losing Huff, Marcio Leite hurt his hamstring. Saturday, like first quarter, didn't play, or our first half, I should say, didn't play Sunday. Probably won't play this weekend in San Diego. Maybe won't play next weekend until he heals up. So that's a big hurt. So that's all I'm going to say for that. We're going to be hurting for the next few games. And fortunately or unfortunately, it's San Diego and Florida are in there, and then a St. Louis sandwich.
Fun fact: Utica's been hurting pretty much this whole year. So.
Yeah, I know. Gio said too many. Yeah, so Gio said too many unknowns. I'm okay with everything that happened because I'm glad they are acting and communicating. And oh boy. And yes, Gio, I totally agree with you. So Kevin said the Crunch is the only MASL undefeated team. That's not true. They're MASL 2. And then Eric has a doozy of a question that he kind of messaged me about the other night, and I've been thinking about it, but I haven't put much real thought into it. Would you guys consider the possibility that the glass down exacerbated the tensions with players? Yes, Gio, he did.
I don't know.
I know exactly where Eric's coming from, and I know. But if you think about it, the areas that this happened in was all at the ends where the glass is up all the way. Sorry. Hello. Okay. Microphone tech over. So I don't know. Because I heard rumors of something happening along the boards or along the benches, but the glass isn't up there either.
I think glass down, it's more. I mean, yes, you're more accessible to the fans, and I think it's both good and bad. I too. I mean, I've heard a few things that were said during Sunday's game that were directed towards fans, and I think with glass down, I think it's more. I mean, fans can hear what the players say. Players can hear what the fans say.
Certain player coach telling a ref to go whatever himself 90 seconds into the game.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, I mean, from a player-fan perspective, I glass up would probably be.
Yeah, Eric just said listen to the audio from the cell phone video on Sunday, and I don't even think I had the audio on for that. So yeah, I'll have to do that. That's interesting because I've heard things were said between players and fans as well, and that was
probably
one of
not about cake.
Probably, yeah. They're like cream cheese frosting sucks, and then.
Well.
All right. Well, let's leave it at that. Let's get on to. Let's get on to the Blast forfeit games. So here's what happened. Baltimore couldn't field a team, didn't show up for the December 18th and their 19th or 20th games, one in Milwaukee, one in KC. And it took until now, and then the games got canceled. The Wave was asking the league, should we do? What's going to happen? What can we do? The league was getting no answers. There were some things said on social media, and Wave was like, you know what? I'm going to post telling my fans what's going on. Hey, everybody, this game is over. We're not going to reschedule Blast forfeit. Follow these links to get your money back, or to move your tickets to another game. And there's some good comments coming up. I want to bring this. Do a timeout here. Go back. Well, it's not like a timeout. It's like a reversal of. Okay. I've heard a number of people that are talking about glass up versus glass down. So Steve Caves said what I've heard a lot of people say, no glass, I pay extra for those seats. And there are a lot of people that will absolutely refuse to sit in those seats if the glass is up. Amanda says what I would agree with. I'm okay with kids hearing the players drop the F-bomb. Their parents are going to say it, in my case, probably more than the players say it. I remember the big complaint about Huff back in KC before, back when he was in in Orlando, was that somebody said he picked out my 10-year-old kid in the crowd and told him to fuck off. And I'm like, there is no way he looked into a crowd of 500, or like a section of 500 people, and went exactly to your kid and told your kid directly that. And she was convinced that nope, he went directly after my kid because my kid booed him or whatever. And it's like, oh,
okay.
Now, granted, there is a clause in the rules that the players, if they're saying that kind of stuff to the crowd, should get a yellow card. That's why the yellow cards for language and things like that exist. I mean, there's certain phrases and certain words that should pull a card. And if it's clear enough for fans to be able to hear, there's no way the refs aren't hearing this. So that's my thought on that.
All right, are we moving on to Baltimore?
Moving on to Baltimore. So anyway, back to Baltimore.
Right. Back to Baltimore.
So the Wave posted, yep, it's going in the books as a 3-0 loss, or 3-0 win for Milwaukee. Milwaukee's getting 3 points, blah, 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 whatever. Now, the Wave just didn't make that up. That had to have come from somewhere. But as soon as that came out, the league got mad at the Wave and then said, no, we're conducting an investigation on a social media post that was deleted. And it took them 2 months to come up with this decision that these games are just not going to be played. And of course, as I foretold, Blast fans are blaming the Wave for not being able to reschedule the game. It's now the Wave's fault and KC's fault for not being able to reschedule. So what happened is all 3 teams get 1 point for every game. So the Blast actually wins 2 points for that weekend, whereas each other team wins 1. But the whole issue with this, and the whole issue that I've had, this was never about the wins or the losses or the points. In fact, I think you could ask a lot of Wave fans and probably the Wave team itself. The Wave was an underdog going into that game. Even though it was at home against Baltimore, neither team has played the year before. Baltimore did win in overtime in Baltimore, but I think you have to, with the brand new team that the Wave fielded, I think you have to say that Baltimore was the favorite there. It was not about the points and who won and who lost and nothing about that. It's no like, oh, the Wave has to do anything to buy a win. No, it's about the fact that it was the first home game in 653 days or whatever it was, and by canceling at the last minute, it cost the Wave about $100,000. There are teams in the league that don't make $100,000 the entire season. Unfortunately, we're fans of two that make that multiple games a season. But that's where the issue comes from. That's why the Wave is not happy. That's why Wave fans are not happy. It has nothing to do with the points. And I know there were things done. The Wave was willing to say, if you can field a reserve team, we will field a reserve team. We won't put our standard players in. We just want to have this game, to host it, to have it at home. And the Blast said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to field our second team. And then the league said, well, we have a team we can field for you and put them in Blast jerseys just so we can have this game. And Baltimore said no. So that tells me that this league doesn't really want to work together to make the league better. It's still every man in for himself. It's kind of disappointing. Your thoughts? I'll eat some cake.
So, name a sport for me that rewards points to a team that forfeits. None. I can't think of any.
Is it this one? Is it called?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so missed it. So let's look at like Champions League soccer. Okay, let's say Manchester United's going up against Barcelona. Manchester United can't field a team, can't be rescheduled. Manchester United has injuries, this, that, and the other thing. Barcelona will get the 3 points, and Manchester United will get 0. So I think giving points, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like it really doesn't. Now Baltimore did earn the 3 points last night against Utica because that game was rescheduled. Although I kind of wish it wasn't. Now we get a point. Something's not right with this, and you can tell that it's not just us that's upset. I mean, I have no stake in it. You know,
whose stake? Your audio go out, or are you still there? Oh, okay. Bye. So Matt is apparently gone. Gio, I will answer your question. For those who aren't looking at the chat, Gio says, but how is that better? How is fielding 2 semi-pro teams helping the league? Just want to know, honestly, it's a valid question, and I think that was what the question was asked. It's the fact that, and Wave owner Mike Zimmerman put this a little bit more, how do I say it? A little bit more to the point and aggressively than I would have, but he said the fans don't care who's in the uniforms. They just want to see their team play. And after 650 days or whatever it was, they want to see a team play and they want to go to the home game, and they're going to pay regardless who's on the team. There's fans who don't even know who's playing until they get to the game. There's fans who are like, oh, what happened to Marcel Feenstra? And it's like, well, he hasn't played in like 6 years. Oh, really? I liked him. Like, when's the last time he went to a game? Oh, last season. You're back.
Yeah, my sister just randomly called me. She never calls me. So
Gio asked, how is it better fielding 2 semi-pro teams helping the league? And I'm going into how it's to play the game. It's to keep the team revenue in. One team having $100,000 lost hurts the league eventually, because you get stupid rules like this that come up that makes the league look unprofessional and just like childish. And then you get fans that are like, well, does that mean the team folded? Every time there's a missed game or something happens weird, there's a percentage of the fan base that thinks something happened in the league or it folded or whatever. So
as I was saying before I signed off, it's not just us that have this issue. If you go on the MASL Facebook page, I don't know how many comments there are now. I saw 50, at least 50, and all of them were just like, this is ridiculous. Like, if Baltimore had ways from the league of getting a team out there, why they chose not to.
So there's a bunch of comments here, and I don't want to ignore all the comments, but I want to answer CT's comment because I think it's the most reasonable question that everyone has answered. He said, could the teams not come to an agreement on a rescheduled date? Here's the problem with the MASL in our league and the arenas we play in. So the Wave is 4th on the tenant list, maybe, along with, and one of them is a hockey team, one of them is a basketball team. I don't know what the third one is, but I heard that we were 4th. The problem is there's no dates. So the only way we could have a date would be like a Monday or a Tuesday night game. And there's just, you run into the point of where when everyone's planning on a certain date game on a Saturday, or I think it was a Saturday, and it was it was December 18th, which is, that was a Saturday. Everyone's been planning this day and planning and looking for it for months. They knew when the schedule came out, that was the date. Now, if you take it and you reschedule it to a Wednesday random date, and
how many, what was the attendance last night?
I was amazed at what they reported. They reported 2,800, which I thought was a lot.
That seems like a lot to me. But
now Milwaukee, we're in the middle of a mask mandate, which is automatically going to bring people or force people away. I just think there's no win there. like they could actually lose money hosting a game on a Monday or Tuesday, and it's a big gamble because you got to have all the arena people come in. You got to, it's not like like if we
it's
owned,
it's got to be on like, and this is what happened with Utica, that they scheduled it on a week where it was winter break.
right.
So there were a lot of kids there.
And that would have been good. I mean, now granted, the Wave has had a school day game, but it was always preseason in November. They didn't have one this year, mostly due to COVID and there's other stuff going on. They maybe could have focused. I told Zimmerman, I'm like, hey, Baltimore has a back-to-back over this certain weekend. You should do it Monday at 8 a.m. after the back-to-back.
But here's the thing, and Baltimore fans will take, well, hopefully it'll make them smile a little bit, or I really don't think the point issue is going to make a difference.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. I think it was the manner in which it was done. So I think you guys are going to make the playoffs and you'll be fine. I just think if there were opportunities given to you by the league, maybe take them. That's my thing.
Yeah. Alex says, I will say that if this is going to happen, December was the best time for it. At least at that point, people had come to understand COVID was an issue. The last second cancellation wasn't unprecedented in these unprecedented times.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Amanda's point is valid. People have kids with sports practice during the week in school, and the most common fan, at least in Milwaukee, is your soccer families. And soccer owns Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays during the week. Like, ridiculously, whether it's indoor or outdoor, winter, spring, summer, whatever it is, other than that like 6-week break that they have between leagues. And then Gio says, we're talking about protecting the image. Does this not matter? What if it was the league's decision to not field semi-pro teams? It wasn't, but he says, I don't know, but my point is we are grasping at straws. Yes, we are. I think waiting this long, it would have been better to just say, you know what, we're wiping those games off the schedule. But you go into a point system, you go into a thing, and not all the teams are going to make the playoffs like last year. Like last year, this game would have just been canceled and wiped off the schedule and wouldn't have mattered because all the teams are going to the playoffs anyway. But we're trying to get a regular league back in.
Here's a solution that could have happened or maybe could have been thought of.
Hey, by the way, Matt, I win the over, so go ahead.
Oh wow. Holy crap. Okay. Maybe at the end of the season, if one of these games made a difference, play it. Neutral site.
Whatever they can figure out at that point, yeah.
Whatever they can figure out. Yeah, just play it. If Baltimore needs 2 points to make the playoffs, play the game against Kansas City. Play the game against Milwaukee. Like, just don't reward them a point. Well, 2 points. Well, they actually got 5 points last night.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, just push it back to the end of the year. And if it matters, great, play it. If it doesn't, oh well.
I think the problem there too was more arena availability with the playoffs coming.
I mean,
and
have it at, and I'm not just saying this because it's Utica, but have it April in Utica. Utica's not. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but just have the teams go to Utica. I know it's going to cost money for airfare and stuff like that, but if it's for the playoffs,
so that
play it at a neutral site.
That solves the point thing, but that doesn't solve the ripping away the home opener.
No, I understand that completely. I understand that completely. It's just a solution that's a little better than the one that they provided.
Yeah, we could probably brainstorm for another hour of better solutions.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm good with no brainstorming.
So my question was this just a ploy from the league to reunite Wave and Kansas City fans after the issues over the weekend?
I don't know.
All right. Let's get on to more less positive.
Boy, how many topics do we have left? I think we went through those pretty good.
There's 40 or 50 more things.
Oh Jesus.
Not 40 or 50, but there's a lot. There's a lot. Some of them are
All right, well, let's knock them out.
Some of them are little. So yesterday I posted, so I was looking at one of these pages on the MSL site. Or was it? Oh, one of the rules pages, because I was making notes thinking, you know what? Like in past seasons, wasn't there a roster deadline for like a roster freeze for adding players and a number of players and things like that? If you go to the MSLsoccer.com, go to MASL and rules, there at some point, I don't know when these showed up because they're not dated, it just says roster deadlines. Things to note, player transfer deadline is Thursday, March 17th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Final date to trade or transfer any player currently under MASL contract. No player who has played the season for any one team will be allowed to sign, be loaned, or trade an MSL team past this transfer deadline for the conclusion of this season and playoffs. Brilliant. Because everyone remembers the season where Dominic Cicluna was the owner of Waza Flow and he traded himself to Las Vegas to play in the playoffs. Like the owner of the team actually traded himself. So, okay. Next one. Roster freeze is March 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern. It will be the final 30 players to make the roster. The only changes after this is the goalkeeper injury clause, which we'll get to in a second. 30 goes up from it used to be 26. I don't know about last year, but at least the year before it was 26.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
I think a bigger number is better because it allows for, especially in this season, it allows for things like COVID breakouts. But if they're going to allow things like a team to cancel the last second and still give them points for it, this doesn't mean anything at all. The next one is the number of games played cap, because teams are playing a different number of games throughout the season. There's no player can play more than 24 regular season games. That makes perfect sense to me. I don't think that's an issue. So, if a guy plays 15 games on one team, but the team he gets traded to has only played 10, he can't play 29 games or whatever it is at that point. I don't know, math is hard. 30 games.
No, that was good. Yeah, that was right. I had to think about it too.
Fine. I'm good with that. And then the last one, I'm skipping one. The last one is the goalkeeper roster rules. All teams are required to dress 2 goalkeepers for every game. No exceptions. In the event of an injury during a multi-game weekend, teams will be permitted to register and activate a goalkeeper to ensure they have 2 in the lineup. Absolutely. 100% agree. This should have been in the rule book for the entire time the league's been in existence.
So, fun fact. So last night, I almost was signed to be the 3rd goalie for Baltimore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there was a ball kicked into the beer garden area, and my cat-like reflexes stopped the ball, and I caught it. And Juan Pereira was like, "Boy, that was good. If that had landed there, y'all would have been in trouble." I'm like, "Yeah, if you guys need me, I'll be right here." He's like, "Okay, yeah. Sounds good.
Need me,
I'm
and I won't.
Definitely better than that Vanzella guy you guys have.
I won't make any mistakes." Oh, by the way, if anyone hasn't seen MASL Primetime, especially Blast fans, you deserve to watch it, because there is now a goalkeeper controversy in the league. Wait. There is a Willie B who plays for Harrisburg, and there is a Willie V who plays for Baltimore now. You have to listen to it. It's an interview with David Bascombe, and David didn't even flinch at it. So either he played it off really well, or they edited something out.
Willie V.
Willie V. So Willie V and Willie B. That's like a WWE style.
That's
game.
a sitcom. That's like a sitcom that you could watch.
Yeah.
Like on a Friday night.
Yeah. So
like the Willie B and V show.
The last paragraph, which is actually the second last, but I skipped it. Now, when I grabbed this yesterday, and I'm glad I grabbed a screenshot of it and posted it in the box for all to see forever. Goalkeeper injury clause. A team may sign a goalkeeper to keep 2 active goalkeepers on the team's final roster pending injury following the roster freeze deadline. What they're saying is that after the March 17th or March 30th deadline, if a goalkeeper gets injured, they can sign another one. Totally agree. But then they added this sentence to it. The team must send a doctor's note to the commissioner's office detailing the goalkeeper's injury for teams to benefit from this rule. Really? And of course, the obvious jokes just write themselves at that point. I checked with the Wave staff. I made sure everyone had their permission slips in before they traveled to San Diego this weekend. Make sure you get them in by Friday. Tomorrow, you only have 1 day left. Don't forge your mom's signature on those because we know.
Don't have your dog eat it.
Don't have your dog eat it. And somebody's reading in the box because now that clause, that second sentence is just gone. Come on, man. I want to take the league seriously and I want to think that they're doing good things, but come on. I don't.
You've had an interesting week. As a Wave fan, you have had one heck of a week.
I've had an interesting week. So then, because we're just piling on this, I have 2 more comments before the highlight of my week, which you kind of heard a little bit about. Does the league ever post the winners of the goals and saves of the week polls? I haven't seen one at all. And there's no way, once you vote on the poll, there's no way to go in a link. I looked around the MASL site, there's no lists. I mean, so I guess it's not a bad thing that they screwed up the name and got the name completely wrong on one. And to follow
up, do they announce the winner?
What? There's no winner.
Do they announce the winners?
No, they've never announced the winner.
Oh, interesting. I mean, I just posted it today. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. There was a week 17 goal of the week by Moises Gonzalez.
Yep. Nope, they haven't posted any winners. No, I don't know if they're waiting for the MVP votes or whatever, but I don't understand what the deal is. But then I replied,
probably absentee ballots.
Yeah, I replied to a couple posts, never got a reply from the league, and my question is, does the league ever reply to any comments on Facebook ever? And if they don't, why do they leave comments open? If you want to use social media as just a way to get a news story, make the post, shut off commenting, and leave it be. When fans have comments about like some of these asinine rules or game protocols or whatever the fuck you want to call them, or polls, or hey, in the poll you got the guy's name wrong who scored the goal, so who are people supposed to vote for? Hey, you want to fix this, and the league just completely ignores it? What is that? Is the league trying to be more professional because the NFL wouldn't respond to fans? Or do they just have a social media person who just knows that it's a joke and they can't reply at all? There's just no way to reply. But on the plus side, no one's talking about the goalkeeper rule this week. Oh, there is that.
Yeah. Ooh, does your list have the thing we got to do this week?
Yes, coming up.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
So that's my rant on the social. Was it is the person Eric is dropping bombs in the chat. Eric says, so Adam, where do you stand on keeping chat open during the games? He means the live YouTube chat.
It needs to be moderated.
Well, and this just goes, so back in the day when games were on YouTube and a certain Jeff Husted, fan of In the Box legend, since he was on one show from his car at one point, not drinking Stellas, I may add. Neither was anyone else,
right.
Though. He used to, I think they used to shut down the chat for all the games. And a couple of people would ask, and it's like, well, can't have, like, if you have 7 games going on, who's going to moderate that? I've been in the chat a few times and it's completely toxic. It's worse than like our rants here. It devolves into name calling and just ridiculousness, and there's no moderation to it at all. I know, Eric,
I mean, there is someone from the MASL in the chat.
Okay.
And it's once in a blue moon. I think I want to say they kept posting something about we're still investigating. This was like in January or something like that. We're still investigating the thing between Baltimore and Milwaukee and Kansas City, and no decision's been made, and blah blah blah. But besides that, I mean, I'm in chat all the time.
They should make you a moderator.
I think the MASL needs to give people that are there to watch the game and talk about it. And yeah, absolutely. They need to make these types of people moderators so they can go through it and delete these ridiculous comments that are being made.
Yeah. Brandon said it.
And I know one of your topics is coming up. That was the big one this weekend. And it really upset me because, I mean, well, we might as well just get into it now. I mean, it's a nice little segue, right?
It is. Right before you say that, Brandon had a comment that I think sums it up. Moderation and chat or no chat at all, period. I know Eric went into the chat to try to communicate with the fans and was kind of attacked. And
yes, absolutely.
That's 100%. Ridiculous.
And that's the thing. So after watching Nick and Eric for years, I know their style of broadcasting, and the fact that people that can sit there and say, "Oh, I'm a Wave fan, I'm a KC fan, blah blah blah," and this KC broadcast is completely biased. It's a load of horse shit. You may have watched maybe 5 minutes of their broadcast, and the fact you kept bringing it up and kept bringing it up.
Yep.
Eric brings up different tidbits of information from the away team. Oh, did you know in the 2004 season, Giuliano Oliviero scored this many goals, and the Wave beat Kansas City, and always complimenting the other players. And so the fact people can come into that chat, like, I understand you have a right to say whatever you want, free speech, free country, America, whatever. But comments like that, it's ridiculous. And it's making like a first-time person come in and be like, holy shit, this is really toxic. Like, I'm not coming back to the chat.
That's why I think it should be shut off. Now, I watched the games on a TV. I mean, we watched a game here. I don't have a way to get to the chat from the TV. Be cold. So I never see the chat unless I go specifically on my phone, which I almost never do because I want to watch the game. I don't want to talk to people on my phone. I disagree a little bit with the biasness in Eric. Eric is completely biased towards the Central Cup. We need to put a stop to that.
Yeah, I mean that kind of right there. I mean that's one thing that he has to work on, and I'm sure he's going to work on it. Next game, he won't bring it up at all.
Right? No, I doubt it. He's going to bring it up
just
twice.
Like timeouts and
yeah. My comments on biased versus unbiased broadcast teams. If the league wants unbiased broadcasting, they should hire third-party broadcasting teams that aren't associated with one of the teams, which will also suck the soul completely out of the broadcasts. I watch a broadcast. I watch all the games. If I were only, and maybe I can put myself in the shoes of somebody who only watches my team's away games, to say, well, these, and then if I'm a fan that goes to the games, I probably never watch my own broadcast. Oh, and Eric says that's simply trolling in the box. I think we banned for that, don't we? Hang on.
we definitely, you know what? Just give him a couple points.
Okay, 2 points for Eric. All right. I think the home broadcast team should be biased. It's their team. Like, I understand, like, when Eric and Nick did was it Florida and KC or San Diego and KC? No, Florida and Ontario, or Ontario and San Diego, or one of those teams that they announced last year. I think they did a great job with that. I think that should be unbiased, or actually it should be biased towards both teams. It should be, you should be bringing up enough equal comments about both games. When Brian Ackley did it, he was terrible because he put no effort into, or no emotion into any of his announcing at all. That's an example of doing it completely wrong. I think your home broadcast should be biased to your home team because that's who's paying for it. That's who you're...
I think to a certain extent.
Right. I don't want to hear...
Like, I don't think anytime someone gets fouled, the announced team should be like, oh, that should be a blue card.
Right.
Like that was impeding his left foot and like, no.
And I don't think that we got to complain. We got to make, like, the comments like, oh, and he's taken down, no call. Like, we can see there's no call because there's no whistle that's been blown. And it's like the soccer moms who want a penalty every time somebody falls to the ground. You get a kid tripping over their own knees. That's a penalty, come on, ref. You know, it's just like, oh, okay. That's ridiculous. But yes. And I did talk to a certain broadcaster. Welcome back to the league, Art Kramer. Glad to have you. We had a cool conversation the other day about, he was talking about Taylor Pill, who was doing color commentary for a number of games that he was gone, and giving him pointers and things like that. Yes.
Do we so speaking of that, do we say it?
Not yet. Maybe.
Okay.
Yes. Art Kramer's going to be on the show either next week or the week after.
Probably the week after.
Depending on his schedule, though, too.
Okay. So next week we might even have like a star-studded show.
We could have them both on next week.
Yeah.
We got plans. We got cool plans.
Which we'll tell you at the end of the show.
But Art did say he doesn't want to be on this week just because of all the high emotions in the league that are going on right now. And that was one of my comments about this. I hate to go back to a topic because we never do that on this show, right? Once we finish the topic, we're done with it. We never ever talk about it again.
Topic of cake,
except for cake. The ridiculous. I wrote down this, and I'll just read out. So the comment, Brian Budzinski from Kansas City put out a kind of a generic comment. While we don't agree, blah, 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 we support the decision. The problem is now, because we have these new game protocols in place, teams can't disagree or they're going to get fined. So teams can't say, are you kidding me? This is the most ridiculous thing possible, because they're just going to get a fine. So now they're like, okay, well, we're just going to take, can I have some Vaseline next time? At least. And next topic. But yeah, so
which I will not bring up something that happened a few years ago. Anyway,
right. So broadcast teams, every team has their own personality. Every broadcast team has their own personality. There are people who hate Philly and Ontario. He's a crazy man. He is all over the place. He is way too excited, but he's Philly, and that's why we love him. And I think Philly and Jonathan have a really good.
It's a balance. It's great. So, yeah, being up in the booth, it was just like, it comes at, like, watching it on YouTube and watching it live is like completely different.
Oh, I bet. But I mean, Tom Wynn and Art Kramer. Tom Wynn does this goofy thing every single game for the last, how many ever years he's been doing this? 20? Where he's like, oh, greetings from Milwaukee, the state of Wisconsin,
and then the planet Earth,
planet Earth, and lands beyond,
International Space Station, and
it's ridiculous. It's absurd, and I love it, and I don't want to ever have him stop doing that.
Yeah, each arena, each team has their own interesting ways of broadcasting.
Yeah, right. Nick and Eric.
Except Florida.
Nick has his top shelf where Grandma keeps the cookies. Ray Biggs has top shelf for Mama keeps the cookies. It's a little bit different. Ray Biggs said he turned right at Albuquerque into the boards there, which I thought was great.
And then we have Joey Zanaboni.
That's Zanaboni. I was just going to bring new to the league this year. And I think what you'll find is the people complaining about some of these new different styles of broadcasting are also the people complaining about how the sport isn't the same as it was in the 80s and how we blah, blah, blah have to do this and make the goals smaller and blah, 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 all the other stuff.
I will admit, and Baltimore fans, I'm going to give you guys another compliment.
Uh-oh.
I do like Lita Shantrat. I mean, a former player, giving his insight into each broadcast, blast broadcast,
Blarscast.
A Blarscast. It's definitely something I enjoy listening to.
I think so. What is the other guy's name?
Well, there's Andrew Primrose.
No, the main,
and then
the play-by-play guy.
Oh,
Remember his name?
Gio's probably still in the chat.
knows.
Maybe Gio.
I think if they would remove Primrose from the broadcast and maybe only have him do a couple sideline things here and there, like like Laura and Dallas, I think that would immediately increase the Blarscast 100 times. Just the main play-by-play guy, Paul Mittemeyer. That's right. It's Paul. Scotty. Gary hasn't been in the broadcast for a couple of years now, but I think if Paul has changed over the seasons, and I think he's gotten better at being a little bit less biased and a little bit less going on about the rules. Now, it's funny to watch Paul and Lee argue about a rule that Paul doesn't know about, and Lee's telling him, and Paul still argues about it. It's like, no, that's the way the rule is. But then when you get Andrew Primrose in there saying that you can pass back to your keeper, but if it goes over 3 lines, then it's a 3-line violation. He obviously has no idea what the hell he's talking about. So I think he kind of eggs them on because he'll just jump in. Oh, there's a handball. I saw it right here. I can't believe they didn't call the handball. And then they'll just jump on and do that anyway. So there's that. We'll get to broadcast in a little bit. Maybe a change this week.
Yeah, but yeah, I think back to the original topic. I think chat needs to be moderated for YouTube.
Yeah,
because it can get bad.
I would be in favor of just eliminating it altogether. And
fun fact. So Kevin also puts the Cleveland Crunch stuff in the YouTube chat as well.
No, I don't believe that. But yeah, I mean, I'm liking the Dallas. Now that Dallas has kind of gotten their kinks figured out, I'm liking the Dallas crew. I think I still think Matt Thornton's on a prop bet to pronounce every player name wrong by just one vowel. But I think they've gotten better. I do think.
Are we going into broadcast grades? Did you do those this week?
I haven't. Yeah, I have done those, but we haven't talked about them.
You just want to do it now since we're on that topic?
Gio says, "Get rid of it. Fans can't have nice things." I'm fine with that because I think the problem is if you have a moderator, it has to be like one of our later topics, which is refereeing. You have to have consistency. If you don't have the same kind of moderation in every chat, or you have, because there's not going to be anybody who's 100% unbiased, because they are going to be involved with the league or a team or in some way.
I would be completely biased. If I saw Gio in chat, I would just ban him right away.
Yeah. I wouldn't even wait for him to say something. I'd just ban him. We love you, Gio.
We love you, Gio.
Yeah, let's do the broadcast thing now.
Yay!
So I have done the broadcast report card.
Oh, by the way, so I know you're going to bring this up, but if you look at the clock up there, we're almost at an hour 30. We
are. But our overtime isn't until 2 hours.
Oh, okay. All right. So we got time.
We have 31 minutes until
overtime.
And unfortunately, that brings me to our first broadcast for the week. Now, what I decided to do. So last week I went to a grading system, like a letter grading. Since we're in school, if you don't bring your doctor's notes in and you don't get your assignments turned in on time, you will fail the test. I can guarantee it.
But we'll still give you points.
But you'll still get points because everybody deserves a point or two. So what I decided to do is I decided to do a letter grade and then things to improve. So instead of just saying this is what's all wrong with it, I'm going to give constructive criticism and constructive feedback. Maybe if someone's listening to this, they can take something out of this. So that said, unfortunately, we start out with Chihuahua. I love their energy. I don't understand a single thing they say, but I still love their energy. They're still talking about crunch in the chat.
I loved and I think Harrisburg needs to go to Chihuahua more so we can hear more wheelie bee.
Right. Yeah. And we're not saying that to make fun of the accent because we're totally embracing it and totally loving it. But it's just funny to hear and these guys talk fast. I thought I kind of talk fast. These guys are like, Willie B. But
Michael Jordan, I believe I can fly. Like just the
Michael Jordan lo hizo. I believe I can fly.
Right. So things to improve on. The audio is clipping badly, very, 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 very badly. It is set at a level coming in, no matter what you do to the outgoing level. It's gonna ruin it. It's killing the audio. And what happens is you get what's called ear fatigue, where you feel like you have to turn on your TV because it's loud, but it's really just so harsh that you just don't want to listen to it anymore. And for me, in order to be engaged with a game, I have to be able to hear it and be engaged listening. Otherwise, I'll just sit here on my phone and I'll be like, oh, look, Facebook. Oh, yeah, look at that. And then I won't have any idea what happened. The audio clipping badly. There's a lot of weird video angles and they miss the ball a lot, especially when it's close. And that camera, I don't know if they can do anything about this, but the camera's too close to the field. It makes that arena look cheaper than it is. I know it's a brand new arena. I saw today, just before we went live here, they have an ad out. They're seating upper level, suite level seating that we've never seen in the broadcast. So I think if you move that camera further away, get some better angles in on it, that may help. So that's my thought on that. Next is our friends in the upper Northwest, and I feel like I'm being generous this week. So I'm, with all the negative things going on, I want to be a little bit generous.
You're giving people points and everything. So yeah, I think you're being very generous this week.
So I'm giving Tacoma a B. Things to work on. The scoreboard just keeps vanishing off the screen. I don't know if there's a technical issue with it, or somebody hits the wrong button and it goes away, or there's problems updating the score or what. The video from the main camera still is kind of jerky, and they seem to have gotten better with staying on that main camera angle instead of zooming way in and missing the ball a lot. They seem to have gotten better, so that's why I bumped them up from a C to a B. In the league, best color coordination on their ads in the entire league to their jerseys and colors, hands down. It's all that navy bluish kind of color.
Speaking of jerseys. Got another one coming.
Oh yeah.
And I've been told there's 4 more jerseys that they're putting out.
Oh yeah, well that's brilliant. I think because I think I know the company that did the All-Star jerseys. I think is who does their jerseys, and they're really reasonable. They have a way to do a turnkey. A lot of places you have to get your
and they're great. It's
now
they're basically not a navy blue.
They're not like the old style jerseys with the patches on and everything like that, but I think everything's moving to this. If you can print out a jersey like this for $20 versus having one made for $90, you're gonna get more people to buy it. You're gonna be able to do like Tacoma's doing, do 7 or 8 different or even more. Are they doing one for every game? Different jersey for every game, and then auction them off. And I mean, it's I love it.
Yeah.
That's Tacoma. I think they're doing, I think there's still a little bit of missed angles. Like one of their goals of the week, you couldn't see the ball in any of the angles of it. You saw the shot, and then you saw the ball in the back of the net, and then they changed angles, and you saw the shot, and then you saw the
It
ball
was
in the
just a
back of the net.
fast shot.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Faster than the speed of light. So next, I may be a homer with this, but with Art Kramer back, Milwaukee has to get an A. There things to improve on. The absolute loudest parts of a goal call are still clipping a little bit. Recommendation for that: when you do your sound test, do it at a loud volume. Don't just go on the mic and go check 1 2, check 1 2. Okay, we're live, and then when I scream later, when I go goal or whatever, it's clipping it. And then there's still a couple camera angles that are kind of weird and maybe miss the ball a little bit. But I mean, those guys know what they're doing. They're doing a great job.
I thought it was a pretty good broadcast.
Kansas City, no question here.
Yep.
I wrote these comments down before the end of the game, and I said things to improve on: more Huffman, fewer goals against the Wave. Then the end of the game came on, and all hell broke loose. But I don't think Kansas City really. So I made a comment, and Eric called me out on it during the broadcast that the week before, the whites were a little bit washed out, and you couldn't see the ball went over it.
He talked about that.
And I'm like, okay, I got it. But it was
the third quarter.
It was fixed in this last Wave game. So the white balance was perfect. You could see the ball every time it went through. It wouldn't. Years ago, when they first went to the blue turf, somewhere on that other off the box wall thing, there's a picture of the cheerleaders with their like knee-high boots, and because the boots are white and they were on the white logo, it looks like they had no legs.
Yep.
I was like, what do we have, ghosts in Kansas City?
Yeah, I loved how they brought that up in the third quarter. They like zoomed in on the ball, and they're like, "Boy, we can see the ball. We don't have any issues."
Here you go, Adam. Take this.
Yeah.
So I think if we had to do a power ranking, I think Kansas City would be first right now. But we're not going to do that. We're doing letter grades. Dallas, I'm feeling generous here. There were a few focus issues on the main camera, which were fixed 5 or 6 minutes into the game, but it was just kind of like, am I seeing that? Do I have to squint or whatever? My big comment on things to improve on, 2 of them. Stop changing the camera angles during a play. Like, it's one thing to go on a camera angle and stay there, and then when the ball goes out, then move to camera angle. But when you're following a play down the field and you're on one camera angle, and you immediately switch, like, what's going on? And that's what happens when you like goals of the week or saves of the week when you don't even see the ball. Even out the broadcast and the commercial volumes, because the commercials tend to be way louder than the actual broadcast. And then just when you get there, keep it consistent week to week so that there's not like new things every week. And then finally, I
like how, remember I sent you the picture of the sideline reporter, like after, like they didn't cut right away to her, and she like did some sort of goofy face or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I like to hear that they're doing things live at least, because one of the first game, Alec just says Dallas broadcasts frequently lead me to play a game. Is it only out of focus or am I having a stroke? But early on in the season, like I think one of their first games, they were trying to go live to Laura on the sidelines, and they were trying to replay a clip of a pre-recorded thing, but you could hear it enough through the broadcast that we heard it like 6 times before they actually got to play it. And then when they finally got to play it, they had to cut it off in the middle of it. Yeah, I'm glad they're finally having like there is a real Laura. It's good to know it's not just some weird artificial intelligence making up these things. And then finally, any question here? It's the same thing that Utica always has. I think UCFC would probably be second on the list of power rankings right now because they're the most consistent. The only thing, I had 2 little comments, things to improve on: a faster transition between in and out of replays. They almost missed the Segura goal from the free kick, top of the arc goal. Almost missed it. And what it is when they go to the Utica thing and they come back, I think if that transition were just sped up, take it down in halftime or whatever, I think that would be fine. But right now it kind of takes a while to get off the screen. And then I don't know if like there was a live mic somewhere because I heard a couple of comments, but it sounds like somebody was banging on a desk or hitting a table or whatever like throughout the game. I don't know if that was Bigsy getting into the game or whatever, but there was just some weird background noise that I didn't think should have been there. But overall, amazing job. So that's it. That's my broadcast for the week. I thought that was a good week overall.
Yeah.
And I felt even though Chihuahua got the D, it's not something that they can't fix. It's like I feel Baltimore's going to get a C forever because they just and Florida's going to get like I'm not even going to look at one again forever because they just don't care. But we'll see what happens. So those are my broadcast comments. Let's see what else do we want to talk about. Scotty says the background noise was you banging the beers on the table. You're muted. You're muted somehow, Matt. Matt, can you hear me? Matt, hello? You're muted. I don't know if he thinks he's talking to me or if he's talking to someone else or what's going on here. Should we do it like a voiceover for Matt? I don't really know what's going on because I'm supposed to be in this live show, but I'm not paying attention to Adam. I'm just gonna look down. I don't know what Adam's trying to say right now. This is weird. Why don't we do this? We're gonna take a time out here real quick. We'll be right back.
Now would be a great time for a timeout.
Now, back to them.
And now, back to them. So, I just told Matt, so Matt took a phone call from his daughter to wish her good night and everything, but his video is still on and he didn't realize it.
And I'm getting, you're muted. So Brandon, thank you for telling me I was muted. I had no idea. Yeah, so Hannah called me and asked what I was doing, and I'm like, well, doing a soccer show.
In the show.
She's like, oh, I thought that was done.
No,
So that was the gist of the conversation. I don't think it was anything close to what you said, but
I didn't. I was gonna come up. I was gonna do like a funny voiceover, and I couldn't come up with anything funny. So there's that.
yeah.
I have a bunch of small little topics before we get to our big ref topic. Milwaukee Waves signed Joey Capinos this week. Unknown if he's going to play in San Diego or not. I would expect to see him at home next week. Yeah, next weekend against Florida. Maybe travel to St. Louis.
Yeah, I would imagine Perella starts in goal for San Diego this week.
I think the timing of it is interesting because I think Perella has been doing a really good job lately. Now fans will look at.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty much put Milwaukee back in contention.
I think fans will be like, "What do you let 11 goals in? Why don't you kick him out and get him out of there?" It's like, well, here's the thing: was it his fault that all 11 goals went in? No. When they were down, when the game was unreachable, should they have maybe pulled him and put something else in? Maybe. I think that's a hockey thing to do for sure. But I know Coach Jules hasn't really done that in the past. I think he's put his players through the test, and especially there were like back-to-back games where you would think like Josh Lemos would play his ass off, and you'd be like, oh my God, he just amazing game. There's no way he's going to start next game, and then less than 24 hours later, he's still starting again and has another amazing game. I think Jules puts a lot of puts the pressure on to hopefully the guys will perform better. And I think that's what happened to Matt. And yeah, Amanda said it's never just the keeper's fault, 100%. Are there some saves he could have made?
Kick it in the goal themselves.
Well, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Are there some saves he could have made or another keeper could have made? Sure. But that's going to be always the case. There's always some other player that can do something different. But as my guitarist in my band always says when we're looking on songs, or working on song parts, is it different or is it just better? Is it different or is it better? If it's better, that's good. If it's different, why are we doing it for the sake of being different? I do think Joey will bring some experience, and I think Matt can learn a ton from that. I don't think that means Matt's out for the rest of the year. I think it just means we have
some more experience.
Yeah, I mean, Joey was amazing when everyone went down, like all 7 goalkeepers went down in the 1920 season. But yeah, I mean, Kevin said the Wave played too much 6th attacker, but at that point, it's almost like, oh, let's just practice our 6th attacker because we know we're not going to win at that point, kind of thing. So we welcome Joey. Unfortunately, that means I think that everyone knows that Josh Lemos' visa didn't go through. Don't know what that's going to mean for next season. I haven't talked to him too much. I gotta reach out and have that kind of painful conversation. But speaking of visas, the question of how is Diego's playing in Florida? So what has happened, there is a visa called an F1 visa, not the FU visa that most players get in the league. The F1,
or the F1 racing.
It's not F1 racing. Otherwise, even the 24th placed racer in the league could still buy, or in F1 could still buy the entire MASL and not even really realize. There's something called an F1 visa, which is a student visa, which means you can play on a team, even if it's a professional team, as long as you aren't getting paid officially. And Florida was willing to take that risk of not paying him officially and having him play for Florida, and that's why he was able to play when he was not able to play in Utica. We'll see if that comes back to bite him or the team. What it most likely is going to do is if it does come back, it's going to be one more mark against the league for why other teams can't get their visas approved. Because teams are doing things maybe not, I don't know, how should I put this, as above the table as they should be.
Yeah.
Read into that however you want. So there's that. Other news out of KC, Kevin Ellis quit the team via a text message. Okay. Like, because we couldn't get any less professional as a league, might as well just tack that on there.
That surprises me. I mean, Kevin Ellis, coming from one of the stars from MLS that signed with an indoor team and was having a pretty good year, and then all of a sudden it just kind of everything hit the fan and he quit. So we're not going to know what happened, but
his statement kind of said he couldn't. Maybe he's getting injured too much. His body couldn't keep up with it, which is, I guess it's hard to admit that as a pro athlete.
Understandable, but I mean, make an announcement a different way.
Right. Give the guy a call at least. Come into the office or, something. Put a meeting on the guy's calendar called status meeting, because those are always good.
Yeah, yeah. But we do have another signing from the MLS.
Is that Christopher?
Tacoma signed, what's his name, Miguel Ibarra?
Yeah, and he played, and he was pretty good.
Yeah, he was it the Timbers or the Sounders? It was one of those teams up northwest, in the Northwest.
Northwest, yep. Yeah. See how he does.
So it's a good signing for them.
Helped them beat the Blarst, so there's that.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. The other interesting news that came out of Dallas was interim coach Jeff Locker said he's not looking for another coach this season and may end up removing the interim title shortly. And now they're on a 6-game losing streak. I want to HDIGKALKBC says VUN.FYI. Thank you.
Oh, give him a point. All right.
Dave just asked if we awarded any points.
Information.
Wait, Dave said he's late to the show. He wants to know if we would have awarded any points. So, Dave, just for you, you get all of them. That's the old Price is Right sound.
Yeah.
The old 60-year bell with tape around it so it's not too loud. So I'm I would be concerned if I were St. Louis fans. I would be more concerned. I mean, let's face it. You guys went through 2 coaches in a season, and you're on your 3rd, and now you're on a 6-game losing streak, and the guy doesn't have any pro coaching experience. And rumor has it of why the coaches have left would make me really leery as if I was an incoming coach to look at that job. The first thing I would do, like, hey, we'd like to, or we're going to take applications for coach for St. Louis Ambush, or someone calls and says, hey, we'd like you to be coach. The first thing I would do is call Everton and say, what happened? Second thing I would do is call Greg Muir and say, what happened? Third thing I would do is call one of the captains, one of the, longer tenured players. What happened? What's going on in the locker room there? And it sounds like a Jerry Jones Dallas Cowboys type thing. Where Jerry doesn't like things happening. He rushes down on the field and he goes in and have a talk with the coach, and everyone he gets gets his camera time and air time and things like that. So it's interesting. I thought it was great that they won those first 2 games after that announcement was made, but you can tell that they're not going anywhere. Right? They're struggling, and I've always heard, and I have never coached myself. I don't have it in me to be able to coach, and I fully admit that. I will own that, but the sign of a coach is what he can do, not what he can do when the team is winning, but what he can do when the team is losing and how he can turn that team. So far, it's not looking good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ambush fans or Ab Buns fans, I mean, you're in for a bumpy rest of the season.
And maybe a shorter rest of the season than you thought it was going to be coming into the season. 24 games may be it. And again, there's also a chance that they could turn around and all the teams in the Central could make the playoffs. Cliff coached 4- and 5-year-olds. You should be writing the game protocols then. A lot of things will matter. Kind of a side note, I went out to the AccuWeather site on a web browser, and I was not able to get the location to stick, no matter what I tried. There was no setting to choose location. I have location turned on. It does not auto-sense location. It defaults to the Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania every time. I don't see how that's useful. Since there's 1,000 other weather apps and sites that will auto-sense your location, and if it doesn't, they will save it from session to session. So I don't understand the point of that. And you notice they haven't talked about the AccuWeather thing since it was announced.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. I had a conversation with someone, and I was told, and I really don't know what topics or what issues are going to be resolved or what announcements are going to be made, but a lot is going to happen within the next 30 days.
How many times have we heard that this season, though? And the off season?
I'm sitting back and watching everything, but I've been told stay tuned.
Okay, stay tuned for more points and more doctor's notes. So Cliff said undefeated with Lucy and then her twin Lily. So Lucy said that deserves a point. Get a point.
But do we take away the point because she doesn't know the difference between left and right, or do we give her more points?
3 more points for that.
Okay, good work, Lucy.
Because you know why? 3 lefts make a right.
That is absolutely true. Yes.
That's why. Everyone gets points. I should have recorded like the dinging going on for like 5 minutes straight, use that as the end song. So that's AccuWeather. Another thing that was brought up. I'll ask you this question. What did we hear a lot about in October and haven't heard a single word about since?
Betting?
It was a big thing. We were going to bet on it. We had Tozer, Commissioner Tozer. I still call him Coach. We had, in fact, Lucy, you get another point for that. She said no one needs to know their lefts and rights to get a point. And she gets a point for saying that. And then since I read it out loud, she gets another point for that. 5-minute warning until overtime.
I know.
Unfortunately, I do not have a buzzer on the thing, so we have to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk about it. Commissioner Tozer, jeez, I get a point for not being able to say that correctly. Was saying, wouldn't it be great to have this and wouldn't it be great to have, and then bet on it. Then you can bet on it. You can place your bets on it. Yeah, that would be great. When I talked to someone the other day, he was saying that they have betting for, you can find betting for like women's basketball in some country you've never heard of right now. All these weird sports. You can bet on ping pong matches right now. Ping pong. When Huffman was on the show, he was saying that he had roommates and friends that were betting on like Korean baseball league and like other countries' basketball leagues that they had heard nothing about just because there was no sports going on during COVID and you could bet on stuff that was going on.
The Korean baseball league, I remember Dave Kovaleski would used to put stuff on Facebook all the time about Korean baseball league at 3 a.m. or something like that.
Yep. Major League Wiffle Ball. I'm sure you can bet on that. I mean, there's so many things out there. What is going on with the MASL? Now, granted, there's some stats issues in that, but you can at least get.
Maybe that's something that's. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying.
Stay tuned. For everything's going to be better.
Yes.
Everything will be all right. I've heard that song before.
Heard that song.
In fact, I'm giving myself a point for mentioning my own song on the show.
Right.
I'm giving myself a point for giving myself a point. Well, wait, we're going to be in a loop there. So we have 2 more topics. Both are going to take longer than 3 minutes, so why don't we stall a little bit? Go through my list here and see what else we have. Do you have any topics?
Why don't we talk about next week's show? I mean, if we need to stall. So next week, I have lined up 2 guests to go face to face with soccer picks. In one corner, we will have Harrisburg Heat goalkeeper, not to be confused with Willie V. Willie V will be on the show.
Yay.
And in the other corner,
I want a
the
corn
powerhouse
dog.
of upstate
Mr.
New York.
Corn Dog.
Him.
You hear it? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I did.
Willie B versus Hannah. This is going to be fun.
So I had a conversation with Willie B last night after the Baltimore Utica game, and he likes to predict these games, and I usually ask him like, well, who do you think is going to win? And most of the time he's right. Pains me to say that. So he thinks he's good at picking soccer. I told him, I said, listen, I know someone that's going to pick you under the table, and you're in for a rude awakening, sir. She's been doing this for years, and she's
So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to actually pay attention to these and write these down.
Yes, I will write them down. But yeah, next week we'll start at 8 again. We were supposed to start at 8. Hannah was supposed to be on this week, but she couldn't make it. So we'll definitely have it next week. Battle of the Titans when it comes to picking, because you guys know we can't pick a game to save our life.
And there's 11 games next weekend.
Although I was whatever many and won. I only lost one last week. So
Bunsbacker, yes. What can I do for you? He said, hey, Adam. Would you like to see a flying cake? All right, Matt, ready?
Wait. Oh, I almost had it. Oh, so close.
One of these days when I'm really bored and I don't have anything else to do, which will probably be never, I'm going to make it so I can have it coming in at different angles and just kind of randomize
All right, play it.
All right, hang on.
Overtime.
We have entered the overtime segment of this show.
I hope, and I honestly hope it's only like one overtime.
How long is the overtime?
I don't know. 30 minutes maybe?
I think 30 is probably good.
Okay.
I think we'll wrap this up by, well, no, we won't, but I'd like to think we'd wrap this up by the first overtime.
Yes.
So, here's some cool news. Here's some cool stuff that, I mean, not as cool as the Sunflower State sponsorship. And Joey noticed that I'm not wearing a Sunflower State jersey because I don't have one. Awkward. I did tell you guys I would buy one, but I was never told where I could buy one. So, let me know. I would love to have one with our logo on it. Oh, Cliff Johnson loves the early start because he's still awake for Ovaltine. If everyone's cool with it, the only problem is on the West Coast, it's 5 p.m. when we start at 7 Central.
I like it earlier. The earlier I can go to bed.
There you go. They're used to having everything on a delay anyway, so there's that. All right. Matt and I were invited, so we were invited to watch it live. We were not able to. We watched a recording of a referee's webinar that was held. Hang on. Okay. We were invited to. I needed some points for that before I could continue. We needed to. We were invited to this referee webinar. I'm having problems here. Give me any more cake.
Do you want me to just explain, because you're
Yes.
Yeah, you do that. So, first of all, we want to thank Ryan Sikic for sending us the invite to watch a webinar. Basically, it was going over things referees have done good, things they need to work on, and then the best part, I thought, and I'm sure Adam will agree, is they actually went over plays, and they asked each referee what they would have done.
The best part is the cream cheese frosting.
No. So it was about an hour long, and they went over a whole bunch of topics, and they gave examples like, "Oh, this was good that you did. You put the ball at the top of the arc quickly, and you got the speed of play going." That was their big thing, is the speed of play, I think. And then the best part, like I said, was what they did was send clips of certain plays to each referee, and they wrote back like what they would have done in that situation, and then they talked about it. And I think that's definitely hopefully helping with the consistency of the refereeing that's going on.
What I liked about it, there were a couple things that I really liked. It went into like the behind the scenes. Like when we talk to players and coaches, we kind of hear more of the behind the scenes of the game that we don't really see day to day. What we heard is things like, oh, what was great is when you gave the blue card, one referee went and placed the ball, the other referee with the blue card went immediately to the referee's crease to report the card and the number and the play and everything like that, so that the players don't have time to complain to the refs about the card. And Commissioner, and I won't name the player, some people may be able to guess at it. I will not answer. Maybe I will. No, I won't. I will not answer any messages about who it was. Says, now if you look at this play, this person has been known to complain to refs over the last few years. Notice as soon as the ref runs away, he doesn't have anyone to complain to. He goes, and watch this play. He's looking around. He has no one to complain to. So he's going to go complain to his players. He's going to go complain to this guy. Yeah. He's going to go complain to that guy. I thought that was amazing because one of the things when I talked to Ryan Sigich on the phone, I said, is there anything you'd like to improve or think we need to improve on, maybe specifically to save time? And he said, players complaining about cards. And I think the best thing was when they were doing that, and they were talking about even things like how one player was like running back and staying ahead of the play versus going behind it, because then you can't see everything that happens along the boards. So Amanda said she liked the early start too because she made it before the end. And I'm like, well, that makes no sense because you would think you'd miss it even more. And she goes, no, it helped because I told her to set an alarm.
So there you go.
So there's that. But yeah, I thought they talked a lot about, not a lot, but about positioning and specifically like what to do with the ball and put the ball back in play. And I think you'll see, and I noticed it on Saturday and Sunday, of players or refs grabbing the ball and like sprinting to the spot where the foul was, and then the other ref takes care of getting the players back or counting, saying what the foul was or in things. They all have headsets. They're all talking back and forth. They did talk about the goalkeeper rule thing. We actually thought there was one missed in, was it in KC? No, it was in Milwaukee on Saturday night where Leo was sixth attacker. And I think Aaron De La Rosa said he thought that the goalkeeper rules didn't follow the sixth attacker. I'm like, no, actually there's a spelling in there or if they spelled it out that it was specifically for the sixth attacker. But what happened was the first touch was more like a save. So it was essentially like somebody tried to chip Leo. He jumped up and basically blocked it with like his upper body, contact above the head somewhere. And then it went to another player and they got it and they passed it back to him and the wave bench went nuts. And I was like, that's a second touch. And when I went back and looked at the replay, it really doesn't look like it's a second touch.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was really cool to hear them all break down ech play. They're like, oh, well, this should have been a blue card. And then,
yeah.
Well, why do you think that? And
I thought it was interesting that they said stuff like, oh, well, we polled I think they had 5 plays and they polled everyone before the webinar and they went over the results at the webinar. And I thought it was funny that there was one guy, there was a 5% one in there, like, oh, and they were like, oh, hey, why don't you talk about this and tell me why you thought that? And he said, well, I thought it should have been this. And they're like, oh, you must have been the one guy that chose the 5% because everyone else chose this way.
Yeah.
Ooh, we can get a jersey under Sunflower State under the merch tab. I'm on it. But yeah, no, I thought it was really good. I think they were emphasizing more on the result of the play rather than the intent. So they were talking about like if a guy goes on a slide tackle and he completely misses someone. I know a lot of players or a lot of fans in the past have been like, well, he went in 2-footed. Why isn't that a penalty? Because you said every 2-footed tackle was a penalty. Well, the guy jumps over him. Maybe his intent was to go in there, but he missed and he whiffed. Or if he goes in 1 foot and he hits some ball and mostly leg and he breaks the guy's leg, that should be a blue card where he was purely not a 2-footed tackle. There's a lot of things like that were talked about.
Yeah, they talked a lot about delay of game as well. And how they're cracking down on delay of game penalties and
yeah.
So yeah, it was very, very informative.
Yeah, I'd like to be. Yeah, I said we're interested in at least watching recordings of future ones or being invited live or whatever. And it was interesting. I like to see it from this aspect. I mean, And I told Ryan, I'm like, I probably, I said I'm a Ryan Sigich fan, probably not on the field in Milwaukee, but we'll get there. We're growing towards there.
My favorite part, just throwing this out there. So they had someone reading the chat, and they were talking about things, and it's like, oh, well, are there any questions from the chat? And they went, no.
Yeah.
And they just
Oh, and Eric, if you're still out there, they did make the joke about the two refs named Brian that you guys joke about and get confused about in your broadcast. I won't say the names on the show just to save names.
Yes.
I probably could. So what happened in a KC game? They had Brian Martin, but they kept calling him Brian Miller. And then Eric now has been kind of checking Nick on that, making sure. And then last game, Eric screwed it up and actually called him Miller on accident when it was Martin, or the other way around, or whatever. And one of them was doing the monitoring the chat, and towards the end, they're like, "Good job monitoring the chat, Miller," or should I say Martin, or whatever. So it's the league does pay attention to that stuff, and they do watch this. I mean, that's the broadcaster where they get their film from. That's how they see what the calls are and things like that. But I thanks to Ryan Sigich and the league for letting us participate in that, even if it's just a fly on the wall. I think it gives more of an insight, and then we can bring that to you guys and talk about things. I mean, there's still a lot of talk about the contact above the head or shoulders, depending on
who you are.
Right. And they went into more of if it's an off the ball thing, there's almost never a reason for contact above the shoulders. If it's in the play, if it's a 50-50 thing, or you got to look on the angles. If a guy hasn't, or if he's doing this, obviously that's more than.
Yeah, there was one play. There was one play where it wasn't even on the ball, and the player whacked the other player in the head, and they said that should have been a straight red.
Yeah,
that player should have not been able to play the rest of the game.
And it's funny. Yeah, he should have gone into the stands for a beer. Anyway,
yeah.
The funny thing about it is, I think a lot of fans want to jump to the red card way too soon because they want, that should have been an instant red, and it's like, no, that's a straight up blue card, and it was called as a blue card, and that's the way it should have been. I do think there are cases where it should be red that haven't been called, but a lot of these. That was the only one that they had that should have been a red. All the others.
Yeah, for it to be like a red card, you would have to like example, putting a person into the boards. You would have to take them and go.
Right. Right.
Like push them as hard as you can into the boards. And then that's a straight red. Anything else is kind of, yeah.
Don't push people into the boards, kids. It's not good practice.
Yeah, you won't get points for that.
Well, do we get points for telling him not to do it?
Yeah.
Kelsey says, I don't want anything to be a red. I want him to fight it out. There needs to be reds in there because there has to be a way to immediately remove the problem from the arena, and that's what the red card serves. Well, not immediately. There's going to be a whole bunch of bitching and moaning and whining and walking as slow as you can, and crowd booing at him and everything like that. But there needs to be a way to diffuse that situation instantly, because we've seen in hockey, two guys will get whatever the penalties are. They'll sit jeering at each other the entire time in the box and then immediately go after each other when the penalty's over. That happens all the time. And I know players. I know one in particular who we talked about earlier said we should just have fighting allowed. I don't think that's the solution. I don't think that's the solution at all. It's a completely different situation than being on ice, and completely different.
All right.
So the only thing I have left is our picks for next week. Oh wait, our friend Jay over at MJSL was questioning the comparison between our league and another league. So the most comparable league to our league is the AHL hockey. what I did is I looked at numbers from the 2019-20 season and compared them to this season. And then I took the numbers from the last 6 seasons and looked at those. So numbers are down just the same way we're seeing in the MASL. So in the 2019-2020 season, there was an average of just over 5,500 people per game. The highest team was averaging 9,000. The lowest team was averaging 2,800. In the 2021-22 season, which they're about 3/4 of the way through, the average dropped over 1,000 down to 4,200. The highest dropped over 1,000 down to 7,600, and the lowest dropped 1,500 down to 1,200. And then I looked at the Milwaukee Admirals over the last 6 seasons. 6 seasons ago, they were at 6,100. They've dropped, and they've stayed in like the 5,500 range for the last few seasons, and they're at 4,300 this year. They've also dropped almost 1,000 per game average. So we're not seeing this just in our sport. It's not an MASL thing. It's not a commissioner thing. It's not a league thing. I think we're seeing this in sports all over the place. And I think AHL is a pretty good representative because a lot of the teams play in the same arenas, same cities. Milwaukee Admirals and Wave play in the same arena. And so we're seeing the same things that we were seeing in soccer there. So I don't think it's anything to be worried about. I think it's I think if there's no such thing. Yeah, I think if there were no such thing as COVID and that we saw these numbers drop, then there's a cause for concern. But I think just it's going to be expected, and it may take a couple of years to bring things back up to where they were. The more weird breakouts and strains and things that we have going on, the more things we're going to have happen.
Yep.
Alex said he'd question the same thing about the ECHL because they draw similar crowds. I would bet it's almost the same.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Williams would probably tell you, or anyone that watches the Utica Comets. Well, now you
can mute again. Matt's on a phone call again, so he doesn't realize his video's off. I need just a quick break before our next segment, so we're going to do a timeout thing. You get to see Eric the Legend Bergerud in his native form. Be right back.
Now would be a great time for a timeout.
Now, back to them.
Ta-da! So you vanished again, and I figured it would be a good time for a timeout.
Yeah, another Hannah phone call. So
Hannah's up pretty late.
yeah, she doesn't have school tomorrow, so
Oh, okay. I suppose we'll let her off. Actually, you know what she gets?
she probably should get a point.
A point.
Yes.
I was looking through our things, and I think other than that attendance thing, the last thing I wanted to the last thing we have to go over is our picks for next week.
All right, let's do it.
All
do
right.
we do the 30-second clock again, or are we?
Not only do I have the 30-second clock.
Oh God! All right.
I can hit a button and have it stop, and then start it over again.
Oh, okay.
So we didn't have that, and I turned down the volume of the buzzer a lot, like a lot. So it should be not anywhere near as annoying. But we don't.
Yeah.
So important chat. Cliff says, "Lucy, get me a beer." We do endorse and support drinking on the show, just as long as you're not drinking in a car while driving, which has still never happened on this show.
Correct.
And I have something to say to a certain Randy Wilkinson. Oh, that's the wrong picture. There, this one. That's awesome. What did I just do?
Yeah, you tell him, Adam.
All right. I want to make sure I get matchups. So there's a
lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of games, but
if you look at Alex picks for this week, there's a lot of colors. Like my eyes, I'm still recovering from.
Yeah. Good thing you're not a colorblind dog or something.
Right.
I just want to look at the only two teams the only ones that we have to do like back to back is Tacoma, Chihuahua. So the rest of them are all single games.
Okay.
All right. So we are going to start with Kansas City at San Diego. I will let you go first, and there you go.
Well, Kansas City, San Diego. Kansas City heads out west to face the Sockers, who are undefeated. So Kansas City coming off of a big victory over Milwaukee. I'm going to take San Diego in this one. They've just looked way too powerful so far this season. I'm going to take San Diego in a 1-goal game. Maybe we'll see Neto in net.
I wanted to wait till 0 because it was much quieter. The buzzer, nowhere near as
it. So.
Oh, good, okay. My turn. This is a tough one for me because I don't know which Kansas City team you're going to see. Kansas City seems stronger on their second game of the weekend than they did in the first. I don't know if that was just home energy or not. San Diego hasn't played in a week or so, and I think they just have too many weapons, and their defense is strong. I don't think there is an X factor. If it is, it's probably not Chris Toth. I pick San Diego. I got it. All right, next game. You're just going to go first with all these. How about that? Right. Except for, you know what? There's 2 Utica games. You can go second on those.
Yeah.
Next game is Florida at Baltimore.
God, I would love for Florida to win this game against Baltimore. But Florida hasn't played in a while. Last time we saw them, they lost in a shootout to Dallas. Without Hugo Silva, that's the big thing with Florida now. Where's this team without Hugo Silva? You know what? I'm going to go upset because of the small field. I am going to take Baltimore.
Ooh. I think the big question for Florida is when is Brett Petracek going to quit? Because it's getting to the point where there's pressure coming on him. I don't know why they had so many players out last game. I think they're a different team without Drew Ruggles in there. I'm going to pick Florida in the upset. I have 10 seconds to just make noise.
Well, it's not really an upset if Florida wins.
I'm upsetting your pick. You're making me upset by making that pick. Yeah. All right, I'll go first for this one. Utica at Harrisburg. I think last night's game showed that Utica is a much different team than they were last time they played Harrisburg, but they beat Harrisburg last time. So I'm going to go Utica in a couple goal win, 2 or 3 goal win. And you're up.
Well, I could have taken the 10 seconds and just made my pick. Yeah, Utica is definitely a different team. I think you'll see Brian Wilkin in net for this game against Harrisburg. The emergence of Christian Segura. I mean, we were waiting for him to show up, and he showed up last night. They could have won that game. A couple of defensive errors in their own end. Give me Utica by 3.
All right. Amanda wants a point because she showed up on time and she was here before the last 10 minutes of the show. A point for you. I already picked that one. Okay, so now we have 2 games. Tacoma at Chihuahua, one on Saturday night, one on Sunday night. Less than 24 hours apart. One's at 9 p.m. Eastern, the next one's at 6 p.m. Eastern. So I'll let you go first.
I mean, this is going to be a great game. Tacoma, a polarizing team, really. I mean, love Danny Waltman in net. But Chihuahua at home has played really, really well. They could have won those 2 games against San Diego, swept Harrisburg. Give me Chihuahua in a sweep.
I will agree, but I think one of the games goes to overtime.
Goes to what?
Goes to
Overtime. Overtime.
Oh, okay.
I think Tacoma has just enough in it to make it a game, but I think Chihuahua is going to score 22 goals this weekend.
So, do you think they're gonna quote R. Kelly?
Michael Jordan lo hizo. I believe I can fly.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, so Lucy said I actually didn't see that comment before you said it, so my whole family just heard that message from you, Adam. So thank you. Okay. And then Kevin also says Tacoma gets swept. I think we all agree on that. The next game. So wait. So, okay. I'll start. Next game is Utica at Baltimore. This will be Utica's 3rd game in 5 days, thanks to Baltimore not getting a 3-point and instead getting 3 points. I think if this was another home game and it was a week apart, I think Utica could pull it off. I think 3 games in 5 days is tough. I think Utica loses by 1, possibly in overtime. Baltimore. You ready?
Yeah. I've never gone against my team. I'm still not going to. But I could definitely see Baltimore winning this. But that arena, I mean, with one bounce of a ball, it could make a difference. We might be seeing Everton this weekend. We might be seeing a few of the players that we didn't see last night in Baltimore. So I will take Utica by 1 for 3 points.
Alec pointed out something good that I only counted the blue and I didn't count the yellow and maroon. This is also Baltimore's 3rd game in 5 days, and their other game is against Florida. So I like your chances. I'm still going. I've seen too many games where it looks like Baltimore's just out and they come up with a 1-goal win. So.
This Baltimore Utica series this year has just been weird.
Yeah. There are times in both games where you could be like, oh, both teams, Utica has this. Oh, Baltimore has this. Oh, Utica has this. If it happens that way in CQ Arena, though, you got to give the nod to Baltimore because of how many times they've done it.
I think Utica's issue last night was letting Baltimore. Utica would score, and then like a minute later, Baltimore would score. Utica would score, and then a minute later. So, and like I said, a couple of defensive errors in that game, and it's a completely different scenario, I think. I think Utica could have won that game and should have.
Mandatory smelling salts and a slap with a wet noodle after every goal scored.
Yes.
Not necessarily in that order.
No, you don't have to. You can mix it up, whatever.
You can pour the smelling salts on the noodle for an extra zap.
So are we stalling? Because it looks like we have about 20 seconds left.
Yes, that's kind of where I was going with that.
Oh, okay. That's what I figured you were doing. I just kind of looked at it. And,
would it be better if I put
done before the second overtime?
Would it be better if I put the clock down the middle between the cake and the sunflower logo? Or is it
no,
okay up
you
there?
can see it better up there.
Oh, it's better up there?
Yeah, but you know what it's time for?
It's time for
Overtime. Overtime.
double overtime.
Yeah.
Only exists in the playoffs. In the MASL, exists every Thursday. Well, hopefully not every Thursday. A lot of Thursdays here on.
Yeah.
All right. Next game, you are up. It's Dallas at St. Louis on Sunday afternoon.
Dallas at St. Louis. Well, we saw what happened last week when Dallas just blew St. Louis out of the water. The funny thing is, St. Louis came back to tie that, I do believe, and then Dallas just kind of just went off an 11-6 victory. I see more of the same. Although I think the X factor's Mo NDI. If he has a hot game, I think St. Louis wins, but give me Dallas.
I also agree. I'm going to go with Dallas, but I think I don't think Mo can win the game. I think Mo can get you back, which he did the other day, but I don't think he can win you the game because there's some defensive issues. I think Pollo Cortez might be back, so goalkeeping might be more solidified. I'm going to take Dallas by 1, but I'm going to say the mascot game is going to be the big equalizer. And we better see a Joey Zanaboni called mascot game. Leave it at that.
MVP goes to Bunswacker.
He goes to Bunswacker. I like it. All right, next game, Sunday, 5:05 Eastern, Florida at Harrisburg, and go.
Once again, boy, I would like to see Harrisburg beat Florida. I think I'm going to say that from now on. I just hope Team X beats Florida. Same scenario. Florida's going to be playing in Baltimore the night before. Harrisburg has Utica. I think Florida's going to take this one, making their trip up here 1-1. Give me the Tropics.
I too will take the Tropics. As Brian Ackley once said, your record is who you are. Or something. That's one of his points of the game. Your record is who you are as a team.
I give my remaining time to the representative from Delaware.
Yeah. So I pick Florida. I don't think the dirt track is going to even things out enough. I think Harrisburg's in trouble. They're going to have 2 tough games, and they're going to lose 2 tough games.
We
don't have to do Tacoma. Next game, second to last game, is the Sunday late or early evening, 6 p.m. Eastern, Kansas City at Ontario. Go.
Okay. So this is another fun game for Kansas City. What Ontario team do we get? Do we get the team that blew out Utica? Or do we get the team that got blown out to by San Diego? I think Frank Tayu and Rian Marquez, those target forwards, those are 2 of the best target forwards in the league. I'm going to give the edge to the better target forward.
All right. Oh, I think Kansas City really wants this game because this is where they lost last year to be able to go to the finals. They I think it's going to be a Kansas City win. I think goalkeeping will be your X factor, Eric Bergerud. But I think this will be. I'm going to call close games all over the place. I think this is another 1 or 2 goal game. AC. And the last game of Sunday, I'll whine about this after we're done. Milwaukee at San Diego. You're off.
I'll take all 30 seconds to make this. It's a tough one. It's really a tough one for me. I'm just gonna stall, and I am going to give you my pick in the final 3 seconds. I'm calling upset. Give me Milwaukee.
Wow. I'm needing a timeout before we go through this. All right, here we go. I'm giving myself a point, which means I can use that point to ask for an extra 30 seconds if I need it.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Because 30 seconds, I can't go over all the players that are out. Huffman, Marcio Leite, Alex Bradley, Mario Alvarez. And I'm forgetting someone else in there who's out with an injury. Andrew Wiedebach will be out now for a while. He has a sprained MCL. We were like, Wiedebach years ago was a bubble player and now has moved his way into the front of the lineup and basically took over Marcio Leite's position when he was out. With him being out, we go into we're going into
Overtime of
the 30-second timers. They don't have any other defenders. I think they're going to be in a lot of trouble. I think Pachar and Yang have to step it up. Otherwise, this team is done for this game. I have to pick San Diego, and I don't think it's going to be close. I hate to say it. I hate picking against my guys because I think there's a lot of heart out there, and I think they have a chance to do some good things. But I got to pick San Diego. I think it'll be close, maybe, but by 2 or 3 rather than 1 or 2. And now I'll take the time to whine about this game. This was supposed to be our trip out to San Diego this weekend. Tara and Emma are going to the Imagine Dragons concert tomorrow night, and we're going to fly out Saturday late morning, spend the day and night doing whatever, spend Sunday during the day doing whatever, watching the game in San Diego, and then spending through Thursday just doing whatever in San Diego in the warmth and sun, and just didn't feel right to try to expect Tara to walk that much that we need to walk with still recovering from her broken foot. So we canceled maybe playoffs, maybe just a random trip late spring, early summer or something like that to get out. But that's my wine.
You know what I'm thinking about doing?
Coming back to Milwaukee when it's better weather?
Well, maybe. So I think what we're gonna do, and you're gonna play a role in this. I think I'm going to, since I'm not sure if Utica doesn't make the playoffs, I still want to be able to go and watch a playoff game. So what I might do is take the top 4 teams, put them in a picker wheel, spin the picker wheel, and wherever that picker wheel goes, I will go there to watch whatever, or game 2 or the mini game or whatever for that.
What if it's Florida?
I will go.
I will change my picker wheel. I'll keep in that thing.
Yeah, just keep. No, I'll go. I mean, it's Florida. It'd be nice weather.
We'll have to set up the picker wheel on the show then for you to do that.
Yeah, but I think I want to do something like that, or maybe the semifinals, or maybe the finals. I don't know, but I want to watch some playoff soccer, and so.
Yeah, I want to take Tara to KC, but maybe not this season. This is a good time to do it.
That was my initial thing. Like, okay, go to Kansas City. You know, it's good there. Yeah. But I mean, it'd be cool to maybe go back out to Ontario or, well, if Baltimore gets a 4 seed, I don't know if I want to go to Baltimore.
The last place I'd want to go.
I'd get booed out of the arena anyway, so whatever.
All I want to hear on the broadcast is you like, that was contact above the head.
I'll just yell it.
Echoing around.
Contact above the head.
Yeah. So I always have faith in picks are hard like this when you're picking your own team. Because do I think Milwaukee has what it takes to beat San Diego? Absolutely 100%. Especially the fact that Milwaukee doesn't play until Sunday. San Diego has a game on Friday against a very, very tough, as we've seen, Kansas City team. But there's just so many injuries. And there's so many injuries at like key positions. Like Marcio is at quarterback of the defense, of all the set plays.
But you know, it's that's when a team is at its best, I think. When their back's against the wall, I think you really see a team for like pulling out a gut check win. I think we saw that. There was a team that, I mean, I want to say there was a game where there was a lot of injuries to a team, and they pulled off a huge upset. So I think you see that with Milwaukee.
That was Tacoma this year. Had half their team they had to replace at the last second, and they won.
Yeah, they beat St. Louis. So, and I definitely think Milwaukee can pull that off, and San Diego is not perfect.
Right. I mean, there's weird things that can happen in any game, and the ball bounces one way or another. I want to give a shout out to Tyler Turner. I think he started the season kind of slow. I mean, the whole team started kind of slow, to be honest. You know, there were still Ian is up there on the scoring. He's 3 ahead of Mo for first in points, 3 or 4. He's kind of jumped, and he's still getting hat tricks in KC and things like that, even with a loss. But it's just the more you expect on those guys, the more chances they're going to get hurt. I think that's why Marcio got hurt, because he's playing 45 minutes a game. The game that Lucy timed Huffman, he was in there for 45 minutes, essentially. Out of 60 minutes, he was in there for 45. Game minutes, not
game against us.
Yeah. Right, yeah. And but Tyler Turner, hell of a game in
I'm still upset over that, for the record.
over the loss or the
No, the fact you have Tyler Turner. And we were supposed to have him last year.
You had him last year, and he didn't really perform. He performed better than you thought, but not as good as you thought, or something.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't give up any goals.
He didn't score any though.
Well, that's true, but he has 1,000% or 100% shot making, because he 0 to 0 is 0 something.
It's not 100.
Well,
he didn't show up. He didn't show up to any team last year. That, you know what? Give him a point.
He gets a point for that. But no, he has he was one of the goals of the week that he'll never get results for, and he had 2 goals. One in Milwaukee that was just right about the yellow line, if not a little bit behind it, upper 90. It almost broke the top of the net off.
The one in KC was,
and the one in KC from the yellow line on the other way. They had 2 shots from the yellow line, one this way and one that way.
Yeah.
And
both good goals.
Lou Meisner did his Lou Meisner thing, where all of a sudden he materializes at half field out of nowhere. You're like, where the hell did he come from? And Tyler had enough time to chip him from that far away.
Yeah.
Both of those are plays of the week on MASL Primetime, by the way. Yeah, it should be an interesting game for sure. And then next week should be even more interesting.
Yep.
Adam Grosskreutz says, let's hope for a big game out of Kyle Crane if he plays. Kyle Crane had a really good game in Kansas City the first time we were in Kansas City, and kind of hasn't put it together since then.
Yeah, I think the key for Milwaukee is going to be that midfield. I mean, LSO.
LSO is another guy I'd like. So Lucy, you have some homework to do here when you have time. I think the last home game, the last KC game, maybe even the game before. Pick a game and find out how many minutes LSO has played in like the last 3 games,
and then multiply that by 15.
Right? Right.
Because
LSO, Tyler Turner is a defender, but he's been playing more of an attacking role. Gordy Gerson's going to be huge. Andre Hayne needs to hold up the ball a lot.
Yep.
They need to be able to hit the counter. I think the team that has the goalkeeper's rule has affected the least is San Diego, because they always were used to that, Pardo to Brian Farber connection, where they were talking about like a quarterback type thing, where tossing the long bomb out there.
Yeah, and I would say the key is shutting down Tavoy Morgan, but you've also got so many other weapons, so it's gonna be tough shutting everyone down. I think ball possession is gonna be your saving grace.
So
hold the ball.
Yeah, Adam Grosskreutz had another point.
Chances and
James Weber used to play on the Wave back in I think his last year was 13-14, and then he vanished and he grew up to an older person with less hair, and now he's back on the team again, and he's been great. He's been all over the place. Avi Steinwasser, he is 6 months away from being a league superstar. He's already a tremendous player. As soon as he controls his touch just a little bit, he's going to be just amazing. And he's already done it in moments of greatness this season. It's going to be good to watch.
Yeah. They're all going to be good games, I think.
It'll be good to see how they rally around so many players out and what changes.
Yep.
Maybe we'll see some players we haven't seen this year. There's a couple guys who haven't gotten any field time who were trying really hard in practice and won it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have anything else to go over. It's a short week. No real news or anything.
Yeah.
I did get a message from Ryan Sigich Monday afternoon saying, "Hey, how's your week going?" And that was it. He never replied after that. Maybe it was Tuesday. It was after Tuesday. It was after the point thing came on. Actually, Ryan gets a point for that. But yeah, I think we've given out a lot of points in this game, and
yeah, we look forward to next week where
Willie B versus Hannah.
Yep.
I need a side profile picture of each of them for the thumbnail.
I can get one.
From both?
I'll get one of Hannah.
Well, Cliff, you gotta wait for the closing segment here. Don't go to bed quite yet.
No, Cliff. No, Cliff. If you watched one of our last videos, it was a joke compilation from In the Box.
Well, it was the best video ever. It was my favorite video so far. So
I mean, you can go to bed. I mean, but you might not be able to go to sleep after listening to this.
So that said, everyone have an amazing week.
Yes, have an amazing week. Hope your team wins or gets a point, or
well, depending on who you're talking to.
Huh?
Some teams, I hope your team doesn't win.
Oh, yes. I hope your team doesn't win, especially if it's against my team.
Exactly. Now you see where I'm going. So
yeah, no, okay.
So, yep. Next week we'll look for Willie B and Hannah, and maybe Art Kramer on that show, but probably we'll wait till Art for the week. I think we'll wait till Art for the week after. Right. That'll be a whole show full of Art then. We got a lot of things we can talk about with Art. So, before I go into my last segment, I want to give a point to everybody. Just one point that everyone can kind of use and divvy up among themselves. So, do you like going to zoos?
I haven't been to one in a while. But yeah, I mean, they're enjoyable.
We used to go a lot when the kids were younger. We haven't been to one in a while. When the kids were younger, there was a zoo around that everyone was talking about, and we decided to go visit it. And you come up to the outside, and it looks like your normal zoo. Everything looks fine. We got inside. There's like no animals around.
Well, that's weird.
And I know a lot of times, like you go to the zoo in the middle of summer, all the animals are asleep, and it's like, well, why? I could watch animals sleeping anywhere. But this end actually had no animals in it. We're like, well, what's going on? And we round this corner, and we realized there's only one animal in this zoo.
Just one.
It was a dog.
Okay.
It was a Shih Tzu.